They bowled beautifully last night. They were fast. They had the Aussies jumping. And if they can do that again and wind back the clock of West Indian fast bowling and knock these 4 Australians over, we've got a game on our hands. So looking forward to seeing that.
The umpires are back out there. So Nitin Menon and alongside him, of course, Adrian Holdstock. And here come the West Indies as well, out onto the ground, led by Roston Chase, their skipper. And of course, the 2 batsmen, as is customary, the last to make their way out. Pat Cummins is not out on 5, and Cam Green is there on 42. It's going to be a big, as we love to say, big first hour, and it certainly shapes that way again, Carl, leading into the start of day 3.
Yes, and it was interesting to note that Hazelwood said that we're in an okay position. He didn't say we were in a great position. So obviously they feel as if they haven't got enough just yet. He also made the point that they'd like to obviously, bat for a bit longer, as close as possible, as opposed to lunch, so that they get a chance to have a nice hard ball when the light takes over this evening. So we'll see the approach this morning. I think the key thing is that Green is still there, and he looked, he really got stuck in last night and battled his way to 42 not out. So he'll be the key. And I suppose, Cummins and Starc and Boland will be looking to give him as much support as possible. But I think Green is the key wicket this morning.
West Indies' runs throughout this series have obviously been hard to come by, as it has been for the Australians as well. And I touched on this yesterday in commentary, that already this would be the 3rd highest team total that the West Indies have scored if they are to run down 181. So their second innings so far, they haven't been able to make over 150, just to put it in context. And the lead is 181 at the moment, so hoping for early inroads. 2 slips in a gully. Green on 42. Shamar Joseph, the first ball of the morning, he knocks Green over. Green let it go, and it cannons into his off stump. And Shamar Joseph gets rid of Cam Green, the first ball on day 3. What a start, Carl Hooper.
Well, as it started, West Indies were dreaming to have this morning. First ball, just seemed back a bit, and it's just per, lack of judgment there from Green, and clipped the top of the off stump. But you can't keep this man Shamar Joseph out. He's in the game again. First ball, knocking over, the big wicket of Cameron Green.
Doesn't that change the entire context of the game? So Cam Green, after doing all the hard work last night, and now in the friendly batting conditions in the broad daylight, and we've seen that throughout the test so far, haven't we, Carl? So 1 for 50 in the afternoon session on day 1, 2 for 57 in the afternoon session on day 2, and now here we are, start of day 3, and the West Indies strike ball 1 as Cam Green lets one go and straight into his off stump. And now it's the bowlers into 9-10 Jack in the batting lineup. So 7 for 99, the Australians. The lead is 181.
That's just a massive blow. And I mentioned earlier that Green would be the key wicket this morning, and he would have hoped to sort of, kick on from last night after working so hard. First ball this morning, just pure error of judgment and getting the off stump peg back. Well, Starc and Cummins, they've got to get stuck in. We know they both can play.
Well, I don't think any of us were expecting quite that. It would have pitched on a 4th stump line, perhaps even wider.
Wider, seam back. But again, the length was good. Keep the stumps in play, as I've been stressing for the last couple of days. You keep that stump and the front pad in play, you can't go wrong.
What a start. 7 for 99. Starc, the new batsman, Green out ball 1. Starc defending a ball on middle stump out on the leg side. And Shamar Joseph, 3 for 26 now. 9.2 overs.
And it's a testament to the fitness of Shamar Joseph, because he's been asked to do a lot of work in this 3-test series. And, granted the games haven't been going for 5 days, but, he's been bowling quite a few overs, and he's backing it up every time the captain is throwing the ball to him. He's running in, full of energy, enjoying his game. Just good to see.
Shamar around the wicket, and Starc turns one away on the onside. Now towards mid-on, picked up by Alzari Joseph with that big yellow watch on.
You know, after Shamar's heroics in the Gabba test, you just went off the boil and you were thinking, is this going to be a one-test wonder, you know? But I'm happy to see in this test series, he's really come back with a bang. Toured England, but didn't really do much. I've had a few slight little niggles, but he looks fit, he looks strong, and he's backing it up day after day, which is good to see.
The gold chain rattling on his way in, bowls on off stump, and Starc just pushes out the point. Straight to John Campbell, who does the fielding. So 7 for 99. Cam Green out the first ball on day 3. Let one go, and Shamar Joseph crashes into his off stump. Pat Cummins watching on at the non-strikers end, 5 not out. Talk us through this celebration. We're just getting a look at.
Is he putting up 8? Has he got? What did he get in the first innings? How many wickets did he get in the first innings?
He only got the 4 wickets. I don't know if it's a 5 and a 0, as Boland had a thought that here of Mitchell Starc, and runs away very fine for 4. So there'll be 4 leg buys. They all count to the lead. So 181. I think that might be it. So it might be 50 wickets for his.
Oh, there you go.
For his career, there we go.
That's right.
50 wickets in tests. So that was the celebration he had, the 5-0.
Well, let's hope there's another 350 more to go of those, because West Indies certainly need it. He's such a good competitor.
Shamar on his way in again, and Starc forward driving just wide of mid-off, and I'll take a single as Seals picks up and zips the ball into the non-striker's end. Single taken, Starc off the mark. That's the end of the first over of the day. What an eventful start. Cam Green letting the first ball go and rockets into his off stump. He was out for his overnight score of 42, ball 1, bowled by Shamar Joseph. Cummins 5, Starc 1, 7 for 104. Start of the third day in Jamaica. Your thoughts throughout the day as well on 0467 920 222. Corbin Middlemas alongside 100 test veteran, former West Indies captain Carl Hooper.
Yeah, and as we've seen, I think yesterday morning, apart from the first day where the ball seemed to seam and swing a bit, batting looks a little bit easier, just judging from the first over. Yes, the first ball seemed back, but you would have thought that, you know, Green is good enough to keep that out. I just thought it was maybe an error in judgment, really, more than anything else. But the 5 balls after that they look comfortable. Osher want to prolong this as long as possible. I think they'll breathe a little easier once the lead gets over 210, 220. I think they'll breathe a little bit easier. They reckon they're probably 30 or 40 short at the moment.
186. The lead as it stands, and Elzari Joseph, first over the morning for the Michael holding end. Delivers to Starc, who just plays off the back foot out towards point. Picked up by Campbell. So Starc's there because Green's out for 42. Cummins 5, 7 for 104.
I was saying to Adam before we came on here, if I was in the West Indies camp and the minute we got Australia out, whatever they're chasing, 200, 210, 220, I'd have a right hot goal before these lights come on. You don't want to be still needing 80 when these lights come on. You want to be as close as possible to the target. So I'd be very positive in my chase.
Elzari into the rib cage, and Starc just ducks underneath it. So play attacking.
Play as positive as you can without being stupid. Not like Louis shot, but you know, look to be positive. And you watch the way Shea Hope and Greaves batted. You know, they sort of turned 2s into 3s. Yes, Greaves got to run up to the end, but be aggressive with your running and look to put some pressure back onto the Australian bowlers and fielders.
We saw even with the Australian batsmen, didn't we, that, you know, it was Head and Smith that looked to be the most effective when they played their shots.
They've just got to take this game on. They just can't stand up and hope to grind it down slowly and chase this. You know, when the light comes on this evening, it's just a different game.
Elzari coming around the wicket, bowls to Starc, who again defends the ball top of off. Since 2022, Elzari Joseph taken 71 wickets of 32. So compared to these 40 wickets of 39 before that, so almost twice as many wickets that he had previously, and his average has sort of knocked 7 off it. He's the cousin of Shamar Joseph, and we've obviously seen Elzari a little bit more in international cricket and seen him for longer. All of a sudden, he's one of the older members of this bowling unit with Kemar Roach overlooked. And yesterday, I noticed in some of the match reports retrospectively, actually bowled the fastest over of the series so far, so really cranked it up. Elzari on off stump and Starc playing back foot again out to cover, and Louis does the fielding, but he can get it up there.
Yeah, last night he certainly looked quick. I mean, the blow that Kerry got, he hardly took his eyes off it, but it was a quick ball. And it thudded into the side of the head. I'm surprised that he carried on, but he had to, given the situation in the game. But I suppose there was some damage done when you look at the shots that he played sort of a couple of balls later. But he really had it. It was going through last night. Nice bunks, good pace, and his rhythm looked good.
3 for 19, 8.4 overs. Elzari Joseph on his way in again. Bowls to Starc, and he does well to keep that down. Right in at the rib cage and playing off the back foot. There's a short leg in play exactly for that delivery. Yet just pushes it into the ground, Starc, and survives on 1, 7 for 104.
Yeah, and I've been saying yesterday, if you're going to attack the body, I'd like to see a man catching in that leg gully area. You get quite a few balls that they don't actually gets big on you. You don't actually control it. It can go to the keeper if it goes off the glove, but sometimes if it goes wide to the keeper. So that leg gully or even a leg slip catching would be good.
Lead 186. Starc on 1, playing a miss. Full outside the off stump, looking to drive and just tailed away from the lefty. A little shout out to first SMS correspondent of the day, 0467 920 222. Shout out to Paul from Adelaide. Great coverage. Afternoon. All trust you are well. Listening from Adelaide Oval, working overnight security.
Oh,
it's a great way to keep in touch with the cricket.
Yeah, my hometown.
It is, of course. Shout out to you, Paul. It'd be a cool gig just watching over one of the great sporting stadiums in the world. What a beautiful ground the Adelaide Oval is.
Sure is. Yeah, it's changed a lot since I first came there. Just love the way they've did all the necessary renovations and the additions with the stands and everything, and they've really kept it. You can still see the cathedral. It's really nice, and they've kept the old scoreboard.
Yeah.
Beautiful ground. Probably the best looking ground in Australia, but I suppose I'm being a bit biased.
No, I'm with you on that. The blend between the old and the new is sensational as Shamar delivers to Cummins, who lets it go and just nipping back into the right-hander. But the old scoreboard in particular, and as someone that grew up watching lots of cricket at the Wacker, they used to be so preoccupied with the scoreboard and the way that it all worked, the old manual scoreboard, and to still have that at the Adelaide Oval is awesome. And yet the rest of the facility is world class, isn't it? If you want to enjoy all of that, and easy concession stands, in and out of the bathroom quick, and a great vantage point from wherever you sit in the stadium, it's got it all covered. We do Aussie rules footy games there, and the grass bank is one of the most popular places still to be as Cummins opens the face of the bat, thick edge, one bounce into the gully. Roston Chase Fields, and so even for all the new seats and the upgrades, everyone wants to stand on the hill and watch from there with the cathedral behind them and the scoreboard over to their left. And it's a popular place to be.
Yeah, I went to a footy game, I think it was last season. It was a horrible day. It rained, it was cold, but we had a really nice box, good food, good drinks. It was a really good day. Collingwood played against, could have been the Crows I think it was against the Crows, and they won. Close game. Really good day.
Shamar bowls to Cummins. He's squared up again. Another thick edge. One bounce into the gully. 7 for 104. Cummins 5. Starc 1. Just repeating, Cam Green out. First ball of the day. So he started day 3. Let one go off Shamar Joseph. Straight into his off stump out for 42. His overnight score. The other news today is that Josh Inglis has been warming up ready to keep. He's going to be the replacement fielder for Alex Carey. So no official concussion sub. Not that it really matters. The sub fielder now has the ability to wicket keep in a way that they didn't in the past. And we've seen that in test matches around the world, even as recently as the Lord's Test. As Shamar almost cuts Cummins in half and a little inside edge onto the body. And rolls into his pad. Cummins kicks it away. So Josh Inglis will be keeping when Australia are back in the field, which will be 3 wickets away. Alex Carey, after being shaken up, hit on the helmet last night.
Yeah, I'm just sort of looking at the screen and seeing a replay of last evening where Cummins gloved one down the leg side and nobody went up.
Amazing. Zari Joseph in at the rib cage and Cummins gloving the ball down the leg side. He was on 0 at that stage. Down the leg side again here as he looks to whip it off the pads. A play and a miss. Just for context too, Carl, that stage of the game, the lead was 151. 6 for 69 would have become 7 for 69. Yeah. They would have lost 3 for 0. Instead, Cummins was able to put on, what was it, 30 for the 7th wicket, although he only contributed 5 of those so far, but was able to hold up an end with Cam Green. He's faced 30 balls now. The lead's up to 186, so it was a big miss.
Yeah, West Indies probably could have been batting this morning, or having to take maybe 1, maximum 2 wickets. They'll want to be getting out there as soon as possible to...
Into the thigh pad of Cummins, balloons up on the leg side.
Yeah, they'll be wanting to get out there as soon as possible to start this run chase.
Cummins going to chop through for 1 here, so 1 more to the score, 7 for 105. The lead up to 187. That'll be leg buys.
Just wonder what Spirit thought for what's going through the minds of... we're going to assume that Louis is going to open with Campbell. Louis, after being recalled to the team, to the West Indies squad, I mean, I suppose didn't cover himself in glory in the way he was dismissed in the first innings, but he has got another opportunity today, and I'm sure he'll want to make the most of it.
Shamar Joseph's got the wicket this morning, got rid of Cam Green for 42, and after just bowling his 2nd over of the day, he's just left the field. So hopefully that's just a bit of minor work with the physio, but Shamar Joseph off. Tevin Imlak's just come on to be the sub-fielder. Now Zari Joseph about to bowl the 4th over of the day. 7 down the Australians, lead 187. And going to Cummins after that leg bye off the final ball of the previous over. Zelzari over the wicket, in at the rib cage. Cummins turns it straight to short leg and he's caught. And Kevlin Anderson hangs on to it. And Cummins is out for 5. The Australians are 8 down. 8 for 105. The lead is 187.
Yes, everything going West Indies way. This one banged in short and got big and Cummins, and he tried to ride it. It's got too big on him. Probably should have ducked it. Just popped an easy catch to Kevlin Anderson at bat pad.
He gets his man in the end. We talked about that non-appeal last night. No appeal, no review. Cummins makes 5 after really being given a massive let-off on Nord. He should have been out when the score was 69. He's out when the score's 105, so it leads up to 187. Couldn't have hoped for much more this morning from the West Indies.
It's gone everything according to plan. I mean, I'm sure in the discussions last night, they would say, look, we need to get these 4 wickets as quickly as possible. We couldn't have hoped for a better start. Green knocked over first ball. This is the 3rd over of the day, and Cummins also walking back. Scotty Boland now coming to the crease. I just hope that the batters have a right go at this total. I mean, the fast bowlers have worked so hard. Yes, the surfaces haven't been the greatest, but, they've run in and really bowled and tried their hardest and managed to keep West Indies a lot of times in the game. Rolling over Australia for 180 in the first test match. The batters should have capitalized on that. They didn't. So they've worked really hard. So it's time for the batters to stand up, and when they get a chance in the 2nd innings and have a right hot go at this total.
I'm sure if you offered this scenario in the game to the West Indies at the start of the test, they would have taken it. 8 down, Boland, the new batsman, gets a short one and ducks underneath it. Scott Boland can be a Crossy will be able to speak to this a little bit more as his former state teammate of Victoria, but he can be a real nuisance with the bat. So you get some tail enders that can sort of don't hang around too long, and others that are more stroke players like Mitchell Starc, whereas Scott Boland's your old-fashioned block, keep it out.
Yeah.
So he can hang around.
But funny enough, even though the lead is 187, I suppose time is also very important in as much as runs. Because as Hazel mentioned last night, you know, they want to have a nice hard ball, you know, with the West Indies with, you know, still having to get some runs when the light kicks in. So they want about a bit of time too.
Elzari to Boland, past the outside edge, rising delivery over the top of off stump. And
Well-
yeah, conversely, the West Indies, they want to bat as much and get as many of these runs in the daytime before the floodlights take over.
But it's funny, I mean, you've looked at the 3 overs and they look very circumspect, as if they want to bat some time. Sometimes you just want to play. I mean, you know, just play the game normally, and whatever happens, happens. You can see they're making a conscious effort to spend some time with the crease, take some time out of the game, so that they get a chance to bowl at the ideal time. Hopefully, I think they were thinking at the start to play sometime after lunch, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
A bit more from you on the SMS in just a moment. Leg gully's in, short legs in. Boland's on strike. He's on the back foot defending, backward a point, and he's off the mark. Runs away through backward point, and Chase works around from the gully to retrieve it. Fantastic coverage. I'm working the night shift as a paramedic in rural New South Wales, enjoying the coverage and the drive to Deniliquin this morning. Nice to hear from you, and thank you very much for your work. That's a
Paramedic.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's been a quiet night.
Absolutely. Luke says, morning, boys, enjoying the coverage. During my morning gym session before heading off to work in Singleton in the beautiful Hunter Valley. McSweeney made some runs yesterday in the A game. He absolutely did. Feel that. More on that in a moment. In fact, I'll get a chance now as the umpire's just going to come in to try and move Kevin Anderson out of the way. Basically saying, mate, I can't see the line of square leg. I think he had a foot just behind square. Starc on 1, Boland on 1. 8 for 106. Leads 188. Cummins out for 5. Green for 42. The 2 overnight bats. I'll come back to that, Luke. Zelzari around the wicket, right into the stumps, and Starc clips it away straight to mid-wicket. I feel he was a guy that got unlucky, and surely is on the radar for a return with the continued failures of our top order. What are your thoughts? I think we're very lucky. We have this amazing bowling attack. Keep up the great call from Luke.
Who's this?
It's about McSweeney.
McSweeney. Oh, he's a good player. Obviously, his introduction into Test cricket last time against India with a rampaging Bumrah is not what you want, but you know, Australia have got some good young batters around, I think, and I think they'll find their feet. You know, it doesn't look that way now, but sometimes you need a little bit of time, you know, and I'm sure they'll be okay.
94 not out, McSweeney at stumps in that unofficial test. Elzari outside the off stump, and Starc just dabs it away through cover point. Pick up a single for that.
Speaking of young batters, I went on an Aussie 19 store last year to India, and a couple of really good players. There's one kid in particular who stood out, Oliver Peake.
Yes.
And I think he's in the Australian A setup, so you know, keep your eye out for him, because he's a nice looking player, and he's young. He's only 17. So the future's bright. Don't worry about it.
Australia 8 down, the lead 189. Both overnight batters dismissed. Ben Cameron's coming in to join Carl Hooper for the first time today.
Live coverage of the West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
Thank you, Corbin. Can the West Indies keep the chase under 200? Carl Hooper, got a real pep in your step, up and about.
Yeah. Good day, Ben. Yeah, I mean, it'll be around 200, I think. Try and get these other 2 wickets as quickly as possible.
Shamar Joseph beginning a new over around the wicket to Starc, who turns the ball from leg stump through mid-wicket, and they'll set off for 2, the Aussies. Elzari Joseph doing the fielding. So wait for 109, the Aussies, a lead of 191. What does the psychological impact of keeping the chase under 200 count for, Carl?
I don't think it's going to count for much in this particular game. Whether you chase 205, 210, 195, it doesn't really matter. I think the most important thing here is that the West Indies batters have got to make sure that their mindset is very clear on what they want to do.
Shamar bowls down the leg side and Starc just watches it through to the keeper.
And how they're going to go about chasing this, because they look rather stuck. Sometimes they're ultra defensive, and then sometimes as the other, you look at some of the dismissals, even in Grenada, Shea Hope's dismissal, it's trying to say a pull, charge into the bowler. They want to find that nice balance between, defense and mixed with good controlled aggression. And that can be in the run into, as we saw a bit yesterday when Greaves batted with Hope.
Shamar Joseph hits the crease, strikes Starc on the pad. It balloons away to square leg. A runner leg by. The unique aspect of the day-night test matches as well, Carl, means that they're going to have to work out how they go about it. You'd like them to be positive, I think, as much for just their mindset and the way they're batting, but whether they can get as many of these runs before nightfall, because you don't want 50, 60, 70, even 30, 40, whatever it is, under lights with a few wickets in hand, do you? So the approach will be fascinating.
Yes, that's why I'm hoping that given with everything that, you're sort of thinking, I don't want this evening, as you just said, to come. I don't want the lights to come on and I need 70. If I'm going to have to bat on the lights, at the most, maybe 30 or 40. So maybe that will force them to be a little bit more positive when they bat during the natural light.
Three slips in a gully. Shamar Joseph to Boland, who plays inside the line, I think, just draws his bat away at the last minute.
So it's going to be interesting to see their approach. Having said that, the Australian attack is going to be relentless. They will hit good lengths. They will challenge the stump. They'll challenge the front pad. How do I come up with a batting plan that I can rotate straight and pick off bad balls?
8 for 110, a lead of 192. Shamar Joseph with 3 for 29. Trying to clean up the Aussie tail before they can worry about batting. Shamar bowls down the leg side. Searching a little bit here at the moment, Shamar Joseph. Can be difficult, can't it? Carl, I'm sure they're desperate to get these last 2 wickets and get in and start chasing the runs, but they just have to finish off first. Stay patient.
Yep. It's gone according to plan so far.
Jim in Frankston, morning. Put you on to get to sleep, and Shamar Joseph's got me out of bed. First ball, now the coffee's on, TV's on. Looks like I'm up. Shamar hits the crease, bowls here to Boland, strikes him on the pad, drops down to the bat pad.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a great day of Test cricket today. Just don't want West Indies to just fold. I want to get a nice close Test match. Either I'm not bothered whether West Indies win or Australia win. You believe that?
I was the one who filmed your reaction when the West Indies beat Australia last time.
Well, look, I think I don't know. I don't think I'll ever witness that again in my lifetime.
You might today.
That sounds very best. Well, in Australia.
Oh.
Not a lot of teams come to Australia and beat Australia in Australia. And that was just a fantastic effort. But look.
I mean this genuinely, Carl. That was one of my favourite moments of following the cricket.
Yeah. It was a special moment, I think. And I'm glad that I witnessed it. That was scripted by the gods, given where Shamar was, with his toe.
Now Zari Joseph around the wicket to Starc, who clubs him down the ground. Lofts him, 1 bounce, a 2nd bounce, and skipping over the rope. 8 for 114, and the lead approaches 200 at 196.
Yeah, Starc obviously understands his role. He's the one that's got to try and get some runs on the can while Boland hangs around with him. So this one pitched up and he went the aerial route, hit nice and straight, beautiful swing of the bat. A couple of bounces into the fence.
8 for 114. What does Alzari come back with? In and bowling. Oh, nearly tickled down the leg side by Starc. Morning, gents. Isn't it great to see the Windies with genuine quicks charging in again? That's from Peter and Margaret. Sorry, that's from Peter. I think he's in Margate.
Yeah, what we saw last night, that sort of aggressive, fast bowling is what I came into the West Indies team as a youngster and time again would see it. So it certainly was good to see.
Zari Joseph bounding in again, bowling to Starc, who's up on his toes to fend the ball out to point and take the single. Boland back on strike. This is who the West Indies would want to bowl to, but he can be belligerent as a lower order bat. He can be very stubborn and hard to remove. Scotty Boland, good morning if you're waking up around Australia, taking all of this in as Stephen from Warrandyte is. What do we get in a run chase today? That's what we're asking and wondering.
You mentioned that psychological 200 mark, 3 short of it. I don't think I wouldn't care much for it to, I mean, normally, it plays in your mind. You think it's a big difference between 180 and that magical 200 if you're chasing.
3 slips, a gully, a leg slip and a bat pad. They go down as Joseph bowls and has Boland fending away from his chest.
And the surface still looks good for batting on, but as we can see, as we've seen, those lights come on early in the evening and it just changes the surface. The ball sort of takes off with some zip, bounce. But right now it just looks good for batting on.
We never want rain in Test cricket, but if you're the West Indies, you wouldn't mind an evening storm, would you? Bat during the day today and bat again during the day tomorrow.
Australia would love some rain for a couple of hours, but then West Indies start their innings on the lights.
Now Zari Joseph, right arm over to Boland on the stumps, and Boland does well to keep it out. On the bounce, plays it to bat pad. 8 for 115, a lead of 197.
I think that would be the perfect scenario. Rain for a couple of hours. Just when you start playing, the light comes on.
Geez, that would be a nightmare, wouldn't it? 0467 920 222. Let us know if you're up and listening, keeping tabs on this test. A Tuesday morning in Australia. 3rd test from Kingston, Jamaica. Zari Joseph, 4 for 26. After a back injury in the first innings, bowling to the Australian tail, eyeing 5 on middle stump, and Boland forward defensive, doesn't get overly far forward as he plays it to mid-off. End of the over. Carl Hooper is going to step out. Adam Crosthwaite, former Victorian and South Australian wicketkeeper batsman, makes his way into the commentary position. Opening half hour completed here on day 3. How have you seen it, Crossy?
What a start. How good. On the money. Shamar Joseph just hitting the top of off-stump first ball of the day. That's just class for me. That's very, very good start, and the game is definitely alive, and that's what gets me very excited.
Shaped it in and decked back as well off the pitch and top of off. Doesn't get any better than that. Field being spread here for Mitchell Starc, who's on strike. Shamar Joseph about to bowl to him. Looks like he'll come around the wicket. 2 slips and a gully. Just back of a length on the off stump, and Starc stands tall to defend. What do you think of Mitchell Starc's batting, Crossy?
I'm a big fan of Mitchell Starc's batting, actually. I think he's a better batter than he gives himself credit for, and it frustrates me sometimes to watch him bat because he's a good bat. He's almost got a test 100, but sometimes I think he just gives it away. And but if he puts his head down, and it's what Australia need today.
Shamar steams in again, wide on the crease. Starc mistiming Forceful shot off the back foot.
So, yeah, no, he can bat Mitchell Starc, and obviously in his 100th test, making a duck in the first innings, I'm sure he'll be out to get some runs.
Are you a believer in the psychology of a lead over 200? Does it count for something?
I think it does, yeah. I think it does. I think pushing 200, 220, every run over 200 is going to hurt the West Indies.
Shamar Joseph bowls again and fending away Starc. Glides it down to third man, and that will be just one. So Shamar Joseph will get to bowl it. Scotty Boland here.
The thing about a 200 chase or a 220 chase is it can be won by one person. And I think this is these, when you're chasing 450, 400, and those big chases, you need a couple of players to get big scores. Whereas here, you need one player to put their team on their back and just go. And they've got those players that they do. Like there is enough batting there. I think King and Hope look great in the first innings. That one of those two can just play out of their skin and get 100. They could win this test match, and that's what they've got to be continually telling themselves and working on.
Shamar Joseph back over the wicket to the right-handed Boland, steaming in. He's flashing it at ball, back of a length outside off. Doesn't get any bat on it. And the very costly one last night is the missed glove down the leg side from Pat Cummins. So he was on naught at the time, goes on to make 5, but they were 6 for 69 when Pat Cummins came to the crease and gloved that ball down the leg side. He and Cameron Green were able to add 30 through to stumps last night, and a further 36 before Pat Cummins was dismissed. So that was a big moment in the game. Shamar Joseph bowls again and through him. Boland's castle disrupted. The big Yorker from Shamar Joseph. And the Aussies are 9 down, 9 for 116. And the belligerent Boland can't keep that one out. A lead of 198, and just maybe it will be under 200, Adam Crosthwaite.
Fast at the stumps, bowled the shorter ball earlier, had Boland backing away. And this is what they've done so well, the West Indies. They've mixed up their lengths. They've really sort of rattled the cages of the Aussies and then hit the stumps. And that's just good bowling to a tail ender.
What we like to call nose and toes, isn't it?
That's it, and sort of the West Indies of old, right? That's what I grew up watching. It's exactly like make sure you get him smelling the ball, and then nose and toes is the perfect way to put it.
The locals getting very excited here at Sabina Park in Kingston, Jamaica. Can they keep it under 200? The lead 198. They would need 199 to win at the moment. Josh Hazlewood is going to be the new bat. Strides out in the long sleeve. What's a text coming in? I have no idea what this means, but I like it. Chad and the boys on the Endeavour here, enjoying the coverage whilst doing a shoulder lift inbound into SP1 in Port Hedland. That might as well be a foreign language to me. Do you know what that means?
No idea.
I know that Endeavour's a ship. I understand that, but I don't understand what a shoulder lift inbound into SP1 is. I can only imagine SP1 is a port, southern port, perhaps. But a shout out to Chad and the boys. 6 for 119, a lead of 198. Hazlewood on strike, 2 slips in a gully. Shamar bowling, fending it away is Hazlewood off the body and down to fine leg. And the lead will go past 200. 202 runs for Hazlewood, a bit of glove on it. He's on 4. And that psychological bonus for the Aussies, a lead beyond 200.
It was interesting hearing Hazlewood before the day started talking about how they just wanted to take time out of the game and bat for as long as they could. They haven't been able to do that, the Australians. And yes, it is psychological 200, but you seem to think that the West Indies will be happy here. They've come out, they've had to take wickets early, and they've done it. The first half an hour, they took 2 for 16 in the half an hour, and what have we got? 3 for 20. If they can knock it over, if they can knock the Australians over now, they are up to it.
Now, Zari Joseph, who probably deserves a 5 for 4 for 26, his bowling figures, and had to go away and get scans on his back in the first innings. He'll be bowling to Mitchell Starc, who's on 10. 2 slips a gully, a bat pad, field spread on the leg side, 3 out. Around the wicket, bowling to the left-handed Aussie, who just chips it away, not far away from that bat pad, and he won't take the single. Now to the deep backwards square on the leg side.
Ooh. No single. It's interesting, that. Starkey just wants to put a couple into the stands, and this is where Mitchell Starc is dangerous. And a couple of connections, and all of a sudden it's up to 220. That's what the Australians have done well in the past.
And the tail wag. Zari Joseph around the wicket again to Starc, down the leg side, a play and a miss. Daniel from Mount Barker in South Australia. I'm enjoying the cricket coverage, thanks ABC. Although no big scores, it's been a very interesting series. Pitchers contributing to that.
They have, but I look at this wicket and it hasn't had the demons that the other wickets have had. The first 2 test matches, there was balls even in the first couple of days sort of shooting and taking off, but it seems like it's a much more consistent bounce in this wicket.
Starc on strike. Zari Joseph bowls to him now on the off stump on a good length. All defended by Starc.
It's going to be fascinating, Benny, because let's say it's a 200-odd lead, 202 at the moment. The hardest time to bat, we know, is that last session. How do the West Indies go about this in this session when they get the bat in hand? And then the middle session, to me, if I was a West Indies batter, I'd be trying to get these before the lights come on. I'd be looking at it going,
One-day game.
Hey, let's go at 4 and over, 4 and a bit and over, and see if we can knock this off before the lights come on.
I don't mind it, and that is going to be the really interesting thing. Starc picks up his bat. Zari Joseph bowls, and Starc gets it away through square leg, turning it off his hip. He'll take the single here with 2 balls remaining in the over. 9 for 121, a lead of 203. Jeff, listening from Canberra. And if I say to you, it takes me back to listening to the test from England before you could watch test cricket on TV, well, we need less sleep as we get older. So listening in bed, under the duvet, as Jim Maxwell would say. 9 for 121, a lead of 203. Hazelwood on strike, 2 balls to survive, 2 slips, a gully, leg slip, bat pad. Zari Joseph bowls on middle stump, and forward defensive from Hazelwood. Ball trickles out into the covers. One love, Mark from Risdon Vale. I don't think the West Indies can make 200, but it would be cool if they did. The bowlers are keeping both sides in it. Shamar Joseph is a gun. Are there many locals there today? There's a few. They've filed in. I reckon they'll continue to file in if there's a chance in this run chase. Lead of 203. Overcast, cloudy day in Kingston, Jamaica, Sabina Park. Can we get a good finish to this test? 3 slips and a gully here for Hazelwood. Bat pad goes behind the popping crease as Joseph rumbles in again, bowls to Hazelwood, full and straight through him. The last Aussie wicket falls, and the West Indies will need 204 to win. The Aussies all out for 121. Hazelwood bowled for 4. And we have a grandstand finish set up in this third test from Sabina Park in Kingston, Jamaica. Adam Crosthwaite.
Seriously good bowling from the West Indies this morning. Joseph with 5 deserves it. And we've got this game set up. 121 all out. A huge, huge chase now for the West Indies. And this is where you can make your name. This is where you become a test cricketer that's loved by your side, by your nation, that, hey, it's staring the West Indies in the face. Another opportunity to beat the Aussies.
And Alzari Joseph gets a 5 and very well deserved. He has bent his back in this second innings. He was off to get his back literally checked during the first innings, had to get a scan on it, has come back and taken 5 for 27 off 12 overs. And I have previously professed my love for Alzari Joseph. I spoke to him in the middle of the MCG and asked him, why are you available so often for the West Indies? And he said to me, this is what I dreamt of doing as a kid. I wanted to play test cricket for the West Indies. Why would I go and play franchise cricket if this is what I dreamt of? And here he is, taking 5 for 27 for the West Indies off 12 overs. Oh, I just loved seeing that in this innings, and his second career 5 in Test match cricket.
Absolutely huge. And just, as you said, it was the West Indies evolved. Both Joseph boys were fast, they were hard, they went short, they rattled the Aussies. You can see that. I was just worried about the pace there, Hazelwood. Backing away and just hitting the stumps, Joseph, middle and leg, with Josh Hazelwood backing outside leg stump. So that they've been intimidating the West Indies, and they've really rattled the Aussie batters and got the job done. They needed to come out today and take 4 wickets, and they've done it for 22 runs, and it's outstanding fast bowling and winding back the clock.
And I just saw a replay. I love the passion from Shamar Joseph, who was fielding on the boundary and celebrated like he'd taken a wicket. He knows they're right in this test match, and this is just tremendous to see. So the Aussies, they will have their work cut out with the ball. They've been too good for the West Indian bats throughout this series, but what can they do here? We might pause. They're going to need 203 runs to win. Make that 204 perhaps. I might just need to check that and get a little bit of help. The scorecard in front of us is saying the Aussies lead by 203, which is different to what we saw. So 204 runs to win for the West Indies is what they need here. We can pause, get the latest from the ABC newsroom, and on the other side of it, Corbin Middlemas will be in for the start of this West Indian run chase. But right now, let's pause.
ABC News, good morning. I'm William Howard. Anthony Albanese will meet Chinese President Xi Jinping today and hold talks with China's Premier in Beijing. Foreign Affairs reporter Stephen Jedgetts is travelling with the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister will have to walk a fine line during the high-stakes meetings. Australia wants to deepen trade ties with China and strike new agreements on climate and the green economy. But there's still deep distrust between the two countries, and the government will resist pressure from China to cooperate in sensitive sectors like artificial intelligence. The Prime Minister's also made it clear he won't drop his election promise to return the Port of Darwin to Australian hands. On top of that, the government's wary of drawing the ire of the Trump administration at a time when the US-Australia alliance is under some strain.
The findings of a landmark climate change case between Torres Strait Islanders and the federal government will be handed down today. Indigenous Affairs reporter Christy Wellauer reports.
2 Torres Strait Islanders are suing the federal government for allegedly breaching its duty of care to protect them from the effects of the rising seas. The case is the first of its kind in Australia, and if successful, could force the federal government to take greater steps to cut emissions and combat the impacts of climate change. During the 4-year case, the court witnessed firsthand the erosion and damage on the islands by rising seas. The Commonwealth denies it has a duty of care and says its emissions targets are a matter for the Parliament.
US President Donald Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte have announced a plan to rearm Ukraine with missiles and other weaponry in the country's fight against Russia's invasion. Mr. Trump says the deal will involve the United States supplying weapons that will be paid for by NATO countries. He told reporters in the Oval Office his conversations with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin are always very pleasant, but the talks do not mean anything once missiles hit Ukrainian cities. Mr. Trump says he will impose severe secondary tariffs on Russia if there is not a deal to end the war in Ukraine within 50 days.
I hope we don't get to the point where we do, but I've been hearing so much talk. It's all talk. It's all talk, and then missiles go into Kiev and kill 60 people. It's got to stop.
The mayor of the US city of Fall River in the state of Massachusetts says a building fire that has killed at least 9 people comes as a huge shock to the local community. Authorities say 50 firefighters had to respond to the blaze in the city, about 95 kilometres south of Boston. A temporary shelter has been set up for survivors, while dozens of residents have been injured. Fall City Mayor Paul Coogan says more lives could have been lost if not for the swift action of firefighters.
Sunday night in July, that's not what the city's expecting to hear. It's a terrible tragedy for the family and the residents, and the fire department, the police, DMS, everybody did a 5-star job, doing their best they could to rescue as many people.
Emergency crews are expected to resume looking for victims of catastrophic flooding in Texas after severe weather temporarily paused search and rescue operations. At least 132 people have been killed after floods laid waste to the Hill Country region on the 4th of July weekend. Authorities believe about 170 people may still be missing. The European Union's Trade Commissioner says talks with the US will continue, but the bloc must be prepared for all outcomes following the Trump administration's surprise announcement of 30% tariffs on the EU. The tariffs, also imposed on Mexico, are set to start on the 1st of August and could make everything from French cheese to German electronics more expensive in the US, as well as destabilising economies. Danish Minister of Foreign Affairs Lars Løkke Rasmussen says they're dealing with a counterpart who is unpredictable.
We don't want any kind of trade war. It is in no one's interest. We want a fair deal. But, of course, if we are met with tariffs, which is unfair, we should be ready to countermeasure this.
And social media moderators responsible for the X account of Elmo, the popular Sesame Street character, are desperately trying to regain control of the account amid a series of racist posts made on the platform. Sesame Workshop, the non-profit behind the long-running children's show, says the account has been compromised by an unknown hacker and it is working to re-establish access. ABC News.
Ben Cameron and Corbin Middlemas from ABC Sport here.
Alongside Paul Roos, Brett Delidio and Poppy Penny, we bring you all the latest AFL news from both on and off the field on the ABC AFL Daily podcast.
You can hear it all on the ABC Listen app.
Time to steady and pull the trigger!
Get ABC AFL Daily podcast. It's your daily footy conversation. Find it on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
The West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
Shamar Joseph, the first ball of the morning, he knocks Green over. Green let it go, and it cannons into his off stump. And Shamar Joseph gets rid of Cam Green, the first ball on day 3. Zelzari over the wicket, in at the rib cage. Cummins turns it straight to short leg and he's caught. And Kevlin Anderson hangs on to it. And Cummins is out for 5. The Australians are 8 down.
Shamar Joseph bowls again and through him. Boland's castle disrupted. The big Yorker from Shamar Joseph. And the Aussies are 9 down, 9 for 116. And the belligerent Boland can't keep that one out. As Joseph rumbles in again, bowls to Hazelwood, full and straight through him. The last Aussie wicket falls. And the West Indies will need 204 to win.
The West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
Bill Laurie would say it is all happening, and absolutely that has been the case here. So 45 minutes into the morning, 4 for 22. Australia lost to be all out inside 3/4 of an hour for 121. That sets the target at 204. That is the chase for victory for the West Indies, and the morning could not have gone much better for the hosts. As you heard there, Cam Green knocked over first ball of the morning for 42. Cummins out for 5, caught short leg off the bowling of Alzari Joseph. Then Shamar Joseph picked up Boland. It was rock and rolled for 1. And then Hazelwood, the last man out, likewise bowled by Alzari Joseph. So he went for 4. The not-out batsman was Mitchell Starc. 11 not off 26. There were 10 sundries in the total of 121. 9 of those were leg byes. So really there was a pretty fine bowling performance by the West Indies. Just one, really their own error, which was 1 wide. 121 all out, 37 overs. The bowling, Alzari Joseph, 12 overs, 2 maidens, 5 for 27. Shamar Joseph, 13 overs, 4 maidens, 4 for 34. Seals went wicketless. He's had a fine series so far. And then the only other wicket was taken by Justin Graves, so 4 overs, 1 for 19. Now, the West Indies, for what they can take care of, they've done their bit this morning. So the Aussies losing their last 4 wickets for just 22 runs. The target is 204. And in the broad daylight, they get the opportunity to bat, try to make some inroads into this victory target of 204. This is Grandstand Cricket on ABC Sport. Corbin, Middlemas and Adam Crosthwaite. The West Indies openers are out there in the middle. The Windies will be thinking this is not happening as we see a couple of specks just appear on the cameras. There is some inclement weather in the area. This would be the last thing the West Indies need out of Crosthwaite as they try to make some inroads if there's a delay for rain.
Yeah, we don't want a delay for rain, but one thing that it might do, if there is a little bit of water around, it could actually just slide onto the bat a little bit better, take that vicious bounce out. It might play into their hands. For mine, it's just a super exciting couple of sessions that we have in front of us now. I think they need to make sure that they're within touching distance of this total before the lights come on, because you don't want to have 70 or 80 runs still to get when the lights come on.
So basically they've got 3 hours and 5 minutes of cricket. So we're almost an hour into the day. So we're 56 minutes in, which means basically the way the sessions work, there's a 20-minute break between the end of session 1 and the start of session 2. Then obviously they'll get another hour and 5 minutes of this session. They'll get 2 hours in the second session. And then basically, given that that's the long break, the 40 minutes, the sun sets in that time, doesn't it? I mean, it's amazing when you call it the end of the second session and it's daylight, and by the time the third session begins, completely floodlit, and it looks like a whole different game.
Yeah, it really does. And because it's that longer break, you get that, stark difference between night and day. So I think they've got a good 40, 45 overs until that time. They need to make inroads, and that's where it'll be interesting to see if they come out defensive or they come out and play some shots. King and Hope, for me, are the two ones that really have the shots and have that probably one-day game that can take it up to some of the Australians. And I think the West Indies just got to go for broke here and try and win the match in the next couple of hours.
Alzari Joseph, 5 for 27. Very tidy bowling figures indeed. His best in Test cricket. And Mitchell Starc, who was 11 not out with the bat, a handy contribution. This is often the case from him in his 100th Test match. He's on 396 career wickets. He's got the new ball, the Pink Dukes. There's 3 slips in a gully. John Campbell and Mikhail Louis, the 2 openers. It'll be Starc to Campbell, lefty to lefty, and Campbell's nicking the first ball. He's out, caught behind. A dream start for the Australians. It's a nightmare to begin for the West Indies, chasing 204 to win off the very first delivery of the innings. Starc gets Campbell out for a golden duck.
Mitchell Starc, another first over wicket. Feather to the substitute, Josh Inglis, with the gloves. Nightmare start for the West Indies. And a dream start for Mitchell Starc as he closes in on 400.
Wicket number 397 for Starc. John Campbell is out first ball. nicking it through to the keeper, and as you touched on, that's Josh Inglis in the gloves, which we alluded to pre-play. Alex Carey was hit last night in the helmet by Alzari Joseph. As a result, his test match has come to a premature end. He hasn't been concussion subbed out. Basically, given the fact that Australia don't have to bat again, there's probably no need to officially make a concussion sub. And after the changes in the ICC laws in the last couple of years, basically a player who is a replacement fieldsman has the ability to wicket keep in a way that they weren't in the past. So that is what Inglis is doing. He's on for Carey, and he's keeping. Well, that's not what they wanted.
It really isn't. It's not a bad ball to get up. Sort of swinging away, pitching on off stump, had to play at it. And as Mitchell Starc has done a lot over his 100 test matches, just takes the outside edge, and that's a beauty. We see the replay here, the closed bat face. Really badly closed bat face there from Campbell. Bat didn't come down straight, but took the edge, and now some serious heat on the debutant.
Mitchell Starc to Kevlin Anderson from Guyana, who gets a wild delivery down the leg side, and Josh Inglis is right in the game, so he gets a catch first ball, and then second ball he's scooting down the leg side and reeling in a wild delivery. Josh Inglis out there for Alex Carey. Oh, feels like we're trying to settle into the day and unpack everything. People are contacting us on the SMS as they are welcome to do throughout 0467920222. And I feel like every time I go to read something, there's a query that's been posted about something that's no longer relevant in the game as the match changes again. And
had 5 wickets in 45 minutes of cricket time.
204 the target. The West Indies already one down. Anderson awaits Starc. It's well wide of off stump. He lets it go. This from Clint from Wavell Heights. Good morning, Corbin. I just woke up to hear the fall of the last wicket. Is there still plenty of life in the pitch, or did the Joseph duo unleash on Australia? So was it more good bowling or good conditions?
Yeah, I think good bowling. It was fast. I think they were clocking up that sort of mid-140s, and then there's a big difference between 137 and 145. It doesn't probably look at it on the gun, but there's a huge difference, and they really sped up the Aussies. They had them mixed up. They had them backing away. They had their feet all over the place. It was just really good, intimidating fast bowling by the West Indies.
1 for none. Campbell already out. Anderson, the number 3, forward defending, back down the pitch. Target 204, so Alzari Joseph finishes with 5 for 27. Shamar Joseph finishes with 4 for 34, so what a series he's had now, Shamar Joseph. When you think about the fact he came into this test match with 14 wickets, gets another 8 here, takes him to 22 for the series, and he's the name which really not only had the entire country of Australia talking, but really world cricket. And he gets the chance to play Australia in a return series and delivers against the weight of expectation that he backed it up. 22 wickets in the series. Oh, Anderson lets the ball go. That's hooping back into the right-hander, right in front of the pegs. And that is the easiest leg before decision the umpire will give. Anderson out, LBW, and the West Indies are 2 down without scoring. A big inducker, Starc to the right-handed Kevlin Anderson. The DRS time is about to run out. Oh, he's going to review it late.
What's he done? Why would you review that?
That is absolutely sad. Didn't offer a shot. The ball hooping back into the right-hander, and it struck him in the front pad.
Bowler's feet checked.
This has been a disastrous start for the West Indies in what appeared to be a gettable run chase.
I do not know what he's thinking. Mitchell Starc knocked him over in the first innings. He's always going to come hard at his pads, and this is literally a half volley, swinging back, hitting him just above the sticker on his pad.
Clearly no bat involved and no shot played. Ball tracking when ready.
Should be hitting halfway up middle stump.
That's almost one you walk as a batsman.
Yeah, there is no way that this is not out. It's the worst review I think I've ever seen in cricket.
And
we've got pitching in line, impact in line, no shot.
He's dead set.
He's hitting
middle of the stumps.
We've just seen the vision, the ball tracker, and it is, as you said, halfway up the stumps, literally the diagram shows it, the red ball in the middle of the middle stump. That is as plumb as you will ever get. And Mitchell Starc is 5 balls in and he's got 2 wickets. Kevlin Anderson out for a 4th ball duck. John Campbell went the very first ball. And we have had 6 wickets fall this morning for 24 runs across the 2 innings. And the West Indies are 2 down without scoring. And now Mikhail Louis, who's the opening batsman, is sitting at the non-striker's end and he's watching the number 4 walk out. And the first over is not even complete. Brandon King comes out with the team 2 for zip.
That's as big a brain fade as I've seen. Like, that's exactly...
You mean the dismissal or you mean the decision to review?
Both. Unbelievable. It was the exact way that he was always going to try and get him out, especially in the first innings where he just kept beating him between bat and pad and ended up bowling him as well. That was incredible batting from a Test cricketer. In the negative.
It was bowled by Starc in the first innings. He's out LBW Starc in the second. The debutant goes for a 4th ball duck. The West Indies are 2 for zip. 5 balls in. Brandon King awaits. Starc delivers. He's through him. Starc's got 3. He's taken 3 wickets in the first over. And Starc is on a hat trick with 1 to get for his 400th in Test cricket. And the West Indies are 3 for 0. Brandon King's been bowled. And a superb delivery from Mitchell Starc, hooping back into the right-hander. And the West Indies have lost 3 wickets in the opening over of the run chase. Needing 204 to win, they are 3 for 0.
Mitchell Starc has just blown this game apart. Fast in swing, 3 for none.
What is happening?
That is an incredible over. Mitchell Starc, always known for taking a wicket in his first over. I think has the most ever wickets in the first over. But now he's just taken 3 on the bounce and he's on a hat-trick next over. That is incredible.
We got a double change. Mitchell Starc's on 399 Test wickets, about to become the 2nd paceman after only Glenn McGrath to get there in Australian Test history. 3 wickets, a 3-wicket maiden for Mitchell Starc as the West Indies start their 2nd innings. 3 for none. Carl Hooper's on his way back in, as is Ben Cameron. This is Grandstand Cricket on ABC Sport.
ABC Sports coverage of the West Indies versus Australia, live on ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
How about it? 3 for none. Mitchell Starc, he goes... Well, he nicks off Campbell. He has Kevlin Anderson, LBW, and then goes through Brandon King. And Carl Hooper, that was hard watching with you from the back of the commentary position.
Yeah, what are we looking at, Ben? But again, we're talking about that length. We know how good Starc is, but, you know, I mean, it's poor batting by West Indies. I can understand Campbell getting a good one.
Kyle Louis is about to face his first delivery and he leaves it from Hazelwood. Short and wide outside the off stump. He's been standing at the non-strikers end watching the carnage.
Yes, I can understand Campbell getting a good one first up. Pitched up, leaving him, had to play, nicked off. But Kevlin Anderson's dismissal, I mean, and then to review it, that's almost criminal. And then obviously Brandon King again. You know that's what Starc is going to do. He's going to pitch up and try and swing it. He needs to be a little bit tighter. But anyway, none for 3.
We've seen 7 for 22 this morning. This afternoon as Hazelwood bowls and edging is Louis, and it goes through the slips on the bounce, and the first runs for the West Indies are less than convincing. They're 3 for 4 on the runs from Mikhail Louis.
Yes, I was saying before the West Indies started their innings, I hope they come out and be positive. Looks so tentative.
They are facing one of the very best to do it, though.
The difference is at least he's getting the ball to shape. He's getting a little bit of swing, and he's bowling that nice full length, giving himself every chance to
Hazelwood bowling to Louis, strikes him on the thigh pad. It balloons away over Travis Head under the lid. And they'll run a leg by. 3 for 5.
He's given himself every chance picking wickets up early. But you must admire how good Starc is. And in the space of 1 over, he's sort of blown the top order away. A lot of work for Chase and Louis to do, but already Australia in the middle order for West Indies.
Still have Shy Hope, who is their best bat. Brandon King's been their best in this series, and he's already gone. Roston Chase, can he deliver a skipper's knock?
And you remember, Ben, yesterday we were talking about whether it's 5 for 3 or 3 for 5. Just from the tone of her voice, you know what's happening. West Indies are in big trouble.
Chase facing Hazelwood, who's arriving now, strikes him on the thigh pad. Balloons to bat pad, no bat involved.
I mean, this morning has gone in total contrast to what's been happening on, apart from the first day. Got a flurry of wickets this morning. We've had what? Australia lost 4. We've had 7 wickets in about 9 overs. At this rate, the game could be finished lunchtime.
We had 7 wickets in 8.1 overs, Carl. There you go. Hazelwood, 3 slips in a gully, bat pad, bowling here to Chase, who takes it off the top of the bat with his defensive stroke. Out into the gully it goes, and he goes for a little wander.
You know, I still believe, look, this is a very good Australian attack, but I still believe even the score at 5 for 3 or 3 for 5, just go down firing some shots, man. You know, play your game rather than standing there poking around waiting for something to happen.
Roston Chase awaiting Hazelwood, who bowls full, and he's driving. Not timing the on drive, and Cummins fields at mid-on. End of the over. 3 for 5, the West Indies, a target of 204 to win. Recapping the day. So the day has begun with the news that Carey has been replaced by the sub-fielder Inglis. So not officially listed as a concussion. With the change in playing conditions, Inglis can keep in place of Carey, who was struck by that Alzari Joseph bouncer late last night. Then in 45 minutes here on day 2, the Aussies lost 4 for 22 from 7.1 overs, including Cam Green, first ball of the day from Shamar Joseph, swinging it back in, decking it back in, top of off, didn't offer a stroke Green. Alzari Joseph, the chief destroyer, 5 for 27 he's taken in the second innings of Australia from 12 overs, 204 to win. And then Mitchell Starc has taken 3 wickets in the first over of the run chase. The West Indies were 3 for none. Campbell, Anderson and King all out. And he's got 399 test wickets and has a hat-trick ball here. 3 slips, a gully, a backward point, a bat pad. Mikhail Louis, Mitchell Starc on a hat-trick. He charges in, swings it back in, and Louis keeps it out. A forward defensive. It would have been a hat-trick to bring up 400 for Mitchell Starc.
Yeah, big stride from Louis on the block, on the defensive. Pushed it out to mid-off. What I've enjoyed about this test match, it's obviously moved along at a rapid rate, but they have a change in conditions. You know, we've had to deal with the light. I mean, today we're obviously West Indies are batting under the natural light, but there's something happening. And it seems like the conditions are always changing, you know. And the good thing about it, at least we haven't seen too many balls keep low. But certainly it has been challenging and changing conditions.
Starc bounds in again here. Bowls to Louis and angles across him. A play and a miss. 3 for 5, the West Indies. Gus in Tamworth, the home of country music in Australia, not far from the home of Josh Hazelwood, says captivating match. Loving it all. Is this the first time in Test history 3 wickets in the first over in the innings? I would say unlikely. I'm sure that would have happened before, but we'll get our man Rick Finlay Onto that one for you, Gus. Louis on 4. Chase yet to get off the mark. Starc, the left armour, with the pink ball. Passes the umpire, bowls down the leg side, and Inglis sprawling to his left, gloves it.
And Ben, you know, look, his dismissal was a poor one, but I feel so bad for Kevlon Anderson. I mean, here's a kid, not a kid, he's 24, you know, I think he's had, 40 first-class games, but it just shows you that he's not prepared for this quality of opposition. Looked a bit startled even with his referral. I mean, it was going under, really. You know, that's the only way it would have probably missed it. But looked clearly out of his depth. And this is why I so strongly emphasized that I wanted to see people like Shea Hope coming up the order and taking a little bit more responsibility. You know, you ease the younger players somewhere down in the middle and get some of the better players up.
Starc hits the crease, swings it back in, and Mikhail Louis well forward. That's a good forward defensive stroke.
I mean, you've got Louis, who's finding his way in Test cricket. Had a bit of a go in England, didn't do too well. He's back into the side. He's opening the batting. But then you've got a guy at 3 that is a he's a rookie.
You feel like,
you know, I just feel that they're missing a beat. I think that they've got to get some of the better, more established players up to set the tone. I haven't got any problems with King at number 4. He can even bat at 3 and bring Shea Hope to 4.
Starc rumbles in again. Swings it in and driving is Louis. Straight down to mid-off, and Steve Smith does the fielding.
You know, years ago, traditionally they say your best batsman bats at 3.
Yep.
And you want him to be the kind of player that will not necessarily take it to the bowlers, but have a very good offensive game. So when he gets it, he puts pressure back onto the opposition. I think that's a lot of asking young Anderson to do. And especially when you've got 2, well, certainly Louis, an experienced opener, still trying to find his way. You're not going to get any momentum from the top 3. I think it's high time Hope comes up and takes some responsibility and get King up the order too.
Starc finishing his second over, bowling to Louis, back of a length, angling across, through to Inglis. 3 for 5, a target of 204 to win for the West Indies. Kyle Louis on 4 and Chase yet to get off the mark. So recapping, Starc in his first over. Campbell out, first ball, caught behind, nicked off a ball that was very dangerous. Swinging away, jagging away. An outside edge through to Inglis, who's replaced Carey. Kevlon Anderson, LBW, with a terrible review as well. Hitting the middle, halfway up. And then Brandon King bowled first ball with one that swung back into the right-hander. An inside edge onto his stumps. They were 3 for none. They're 3 for 5. Hazelwood bowling here to Roston Chase. Keeps his bat inside the line. Back of a length, outside off.
And, you know, Ben, going back to Kevlon Anderson, it just shows how inexperienced and how bad a decision it was. And again, I mean, as a first-class cricketer, you should know that. I mean, you've got to just walk for that. But, you know, you went down and you consulted with Mikhail Louis. I mean, he should have told him, look, mate, sorry, you know, that's out.
Get off.
But for him to even say, you know, if you consult with your partner and he said, look, yes, review it, you know, it's just poor decisions all the way around.
It'll be a horrible feeling for the young man in the pavilion at the moment. Hazelwood, right arm over the wicket to the right-handed Chase, strikes him in the unmentionables. Oh, and he is hopping around Roston Chase. That doesn't tickle.
Yeah, I don't think he hit it. Didn't quite get him.
Oof, he's keeled over. What do you mean it didn't get him?
Didn't get him, didn't quite get him.
Oh, he's grimacing, Carl.
Oh, he's grimacing. Probably just clipped it.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Oh.
Got him.
It did get him.
It got him, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he.
Oh, well. He's made his contribution. He's got a couple of kids already, so he's made his contribution, so.
That's not much fun. Why is it funny to everyone else but the batsman? That's what we always say in these moments.
No, mate, you don't want to get hit there. Jeez.
The Aussies standing around. He's laying down prone at the moment, and they're shaking out his legs.
As if that's going to do something.
It was more baseball, 3 balls and 1 strike than cricket, wasn't it? 3 for 5, the West Indies. Roston Chase yet to get off the mark. Mikhail Louis on 4. 2 balls into this 4th over.
It'll be interesting to see West Indies play. I think they've got a series against India next, a 3-test series in India. And then they've got 2 against New Zealand. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the top of the order. Do you bring back Craig Brathwaite? What do you do with Kevlon Anderson? He's obviously had a really, hard introduction into Test cricket, coming against the #1 ranked team in the world in you wouldn't call it batting friendly conditions. But obviously there's some work for him to do. So, I suppose in consultant with the batting coach, he needs to definitely address some issues. I mean, one of the things that I picked up straight away in the first innings, his bat was not coming down straight. That's going to be an issue facing anybody that is swinging the ball or seaming the ball. You'll always be trying to catch up with the line of the ball. So these are just some areas that he's got to address, and hopefully he gets the necessary assistance as he goes on with his career.
Since the start of Mitchell Starc's Test career, most wickets in a first over of a Test match, Starc with 23, James Anderson 19, and then you have to go down to Kemar Roach on 10. Why is it, Carl? Why does he take so many wickets in his first over?
Because he pitches the ball up. He obviously can swing it, and he's got pace, but I think the critical thing is that he pitches the ball up and challenges the stumps and the pads. I mean, as an opening batsman, you want to have a sighter. You want to be able to leave a few balls alone, get the pace in the bounce. But his strength is actually pitching the ball up, swinging it at pace. So if you're not spot on, he's in the game. So I'm not surprised by those stats that he's top of the list. Most of the great fast bowlers that I've played against, thinking about Wasim Akram and Waqar Younis, the thing about it, when they're on song, because of the lengths that they bowl, it doesn't give you a second chance. It's not going to go over the top of the stump.
Roston Chase is okay and facing Hazelwood again and playing at a ball wide of the off stump, past the outside edge. 199 to win here for the West Indies. They are 3 for 5.
Yeah, just again good areas, and Roston Chase just poking at it really. Needs to put some pressure back onto the Australian ball, even just by trying to run singles, get off the mark, get off strike. Just stand there poking and hoping.
Taking an off-stump guard, Roston Chase, as he's looking at Hazelwood, bowling now on the top of middle. Fends it away towards mid-wicket, fielded there by Travis Head under the lid. 2 balls to come in this over. Roston Chase yet to get off the mark. Mikhail Louis on 4. 3 for 5. They were 3 for none. Chasing 204 to win. Chase whacking away. Hazelwood in and bowling. Down the leg side, and Inglis diving away to his left. Does a good job behind the stumps. Into the game for Alex Carey, who hasn't officially been subbed out as a concussion replacement, but they've just got Inglis on as a replacement fielder, changing the playing conditions, allowed to keep nowadays in Test cricket. A big blow to the head last night for Alex Carey while batting. Alzari Joseph struck him.
And one thing I've noticed, I suppose, with the new ball on this morning, it's probably quickened up a tad, the surface.
Maybe that little bit of rain. Hazelwood, right arm over, and Chase defending a ball on the off stump. Trickles down towards mid-on. That is the end of the Hazelwood over. 3 for 5 of the West Indies. 204 the target to win. Mitchell Starc on 399 wickets and steaming in. Corbin Middlemas is doing the same.
The West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
Thanks, Ben. Mitchell Starc, 1 away from the magical 400. 3 for 5, the West Indies chasing 204. That was after Mitchell Starc had a triple wicket maiden to start the innings. Here he is on his way in to Mikhail Louis, who struck on the pad. Shout for leg before, finger goes up. And that is 400 for Mitchell Starc in his 100 Test match. Starc, what a weapon he is. And appropriately with the pink ball, Mitchell Starc brings the entire venue at Sabina Park to their feet. A warm round of applause. Starc, just the second Australian paceman to get to 400 Test scalps.
And Corbs, what you're watching here is a great fast bowler at work with conditions that suits his style of bowling. He's getting it to swing and swing late and at pace. Poor Louis had no chance there. It was pitched up and it swung late. He defended, wrong line, beaten on the inside edge of the bat, crashing into the stump. Easy decision for the umpire. I gave it out from where we were sitting.
That was absolutely dead. 4.1 overs in. 4 for 5. That's 4 wickets for 5 runs. And Mikhail Louis is out for 4 and was after John Campbell went the very first ball of the innings, caught nicking through to Inglis. Little outswinger, feathered an edge through to the keeper. And the big hooping in-swingers to the right-handers. So Kevlin Anderson, my apologies, out LBW Starc. 4th ball, that was as plumb as you're ever likely to see one. Was hitting middle halfway up. He reviewed it anyway. Set fire to that review. And then Brandon King, inside edge onto the stumps. He was out for a first ball duck. And now Louis goes for 4. So the scorecard reads Starc, 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 Starc. And he has 400 Test wickets.
Fantastic number. That's a lot of Test wickets. And he deserves every one of them. And the way he's going, it looked like he's on for many, many more.
He's got 4 for none, Carl.
Just swinging the ball at pace and swinging it late.
4 for none. Wouldn't be too many fifers in Test cricket without conceding a run.
5 for none.
Jeez.
Just looking at that scorecard, I just hope that the West Indies score more than 15. There was a BBL game where the strikers bowled out the Sydney Thunder for 15.
Oh, that's right.
So let's hope different format, but let's get over that mark.
We sat here when the Aussies were all out early today, losing their last 4 wickets for 22, thinking this game was right on. The target 204. The Windies 4 for 5 at a bottom edge from Shy Hope. One bounce into the ground and eludes the cordon. Constance and the grippers runs back down to third man, retrieves it, and Shy Hope's off the mark with a double. And the first run Starc's conceded. And Mikhail Louis, we get another look at it. Similar to the Anderson dismissal, the ball hooping back into the right-hander, hitting the middle halfway up.
I mean, just little things from a batting perspective. You see that he's swinging the ball, swinging it late at pace. I mean, a lot of times, you face good left-arm swing bowling. You can open your stance a little bit and try and keep that left foot, if you're a right-hand bat, out of the way so that you can access the ball if it goes late. But I suppose these are all discussions that these players must have with their batting coach.
Shy Hope on strike, awaits Starc, he's hit on the pad, shout for leg before, that's out 2. Starc's got a 5-er. In his 100th Test, he's into the 400s and counting in the Test wicket column. 401.
TV umpire to direct, sir. We've got a player review for LBW. Original decision is out.
Not as plumb as the previous LBW decisions. I'm not sure if he's going to clip the leg, but Hope was trapped on the back foot, and it swung late.
Geez, still looked out, didn't it?
Looked out, yes, and the important thing is that the umpire gave it out, so it's just got to be clipping.
Okay, ball's close to the back. Can we just confirm with ultra edge, please?
Didn't get anything on
Rolling
it.
through now.
So it missed the
Rolling
bat.
through. Flat line, no
Question
bat
is,
involved.
is it hitting the
Ball
leg
tracking
stump
when
or is
ready,
it clipping?
please.
Either way, it's out. It's pitched on. Crashing into leg stump, it is.
That's out.
Pitching in line, impact in line, wickets hitting. Mitten, you can stay with your original decision of out. On screen, signal now.
He held the pink ball up for his 400th Test wicket, and he can hold it up again now. He's got a fifer, and it has taken 15 balls from Mitchell Starc. In 15 balls, 5 for 2, and the West Indies are 5 for 7, chasing 204 to win. The latest of them is Shy Hope. He's out for 2, LBW Starc. So to read this card to you, Carl, John Campbell, first ball, duck, caught. Inglis, nicking through off Starc's bowling. 4 balls later, Kevlin Anderson struck on the pad. Ball hooping back into the right-hander, LBW Starc, a duck. And then the very next ball, Brandon King, inside edge onto his stumps, bowled Starc, first ball, duck. Then we had to wait another over. Starc's second over, a maiden. And here he comes to bowl his third over, which is the 5th over of the innings only. McCall Louis, in swinger, into the pads, out for 4, LBW Starc. And now Shy Hope out, LBW Starc for 2. And Mitchell Starc's figures are 5 for 2.
Yep, look, I'm a bit disappointed. I think some adjustments needs to be made immediately. I just hope that somebody in the shed there is having a chat with the batters that they got to get the front leg out of the way. So this is a time, if the ball is going late with pace, you've got to open your stance so that you can access the ball. It doesn't make sense staying in your traditional two-eye stance, as we call it. And then when it swings late, your front leg is in the way and you can't access the ball. So open your stance a bit and sit, trust yourself that if it swings back late, at least your front leg is not in the way and you could access the ball. If it goes across you and hits the edge, then so be it. But the ball coming back is the threatening one.
Justin Graves is going to have a go. He's another right-hander. He plays and misses the ball wide of the stumps.
And just looking at Justin Graves, how he set up for the first ball, he hasn't made any changes. He's in a two-eye stance, which means the traditional stance. Just would like to see him open up that front leg a bit so that he can access the ball if it swings back in late.
What an incredible display from one of Test cricket's great fast bowlers in Mitchell Starc. Becomes just the second left armer to get to 400 wickets. No one's done it. Really, any of the top 10 at a better strike rate than him. That strike rate is continuing to plummet. 5 for 7. Graves out the middle of the bat, carves it through cover for 4. Well, there's an outlier in the innings so far. A ball to come in the 5th over and a boundary straight out the middle of the bat from Justin Graves. And the West Indies now 5 for 11.
Yeah, Starc wouldn't mind that at all. Pitched up, didn't swing, and Graves was good enough to drive it. Beating the man at mid-off and picking up a boundary.
I can't believe what we've seen this morning. So the Aussies lost 4 for 22 to be all out for 121. And now the West Indies have lost 5 for 11. Starc outside the off stump. Graves lets it go. It's the end of the over. Graves 4, Chase yet to score. More from Carl Hooper throughout the day. Grandstand cricket on ABC Sport. Who knows how long this day is going to last. Scattered thunderstorms and a little bit of rain about. But ordinarily the daylight has been good batting conditions. On day 1, only 1 wicket fell in the afternoon second. On day 2, only 2 wickets fell. How about today? So far, 9 wickets have fallen. And this session is not done yet. There's still half an hour to play. And yet 9 wickets for 33 runs have fallen today as Adam Crosthwaite sits back down. It's just jaw-dropping stuff, isn't it?
It has been, and it started with the West Indies bowling as well as that. But Mitchell Starc, that's on a different planet. This has been unbelievable pace and swing, and just keeps hitting the stumps and the pads.
Can Hazelwood join the party? Bowls wide at the stumps, and Chase lets it go. So Chase yet to score, Graves yet to score. Sorry, Graves 4. The West Indies are 5 for 11. The target is 204, which appeared absolutely in play when they rolled the Australians for 121. Now it looks as if they're not going to get within cooey of that.
Well, that's it. Now we've got to start looking at what the lowest total of West Indian cricket is, because 5 for 2, Mitchell Starc, and the only 2 runs were a nick that the keeper couldn't glove along the ground. It's unbelievable what we're seeing right now.
3 slips of gully, short leg. Chase, nicking, trying to drive down the ground. Inglis hangs onto it. The West Indies 6 for 11. And the captain goes for a duck too. And this goes from bad to worse for the West Indies. This is headed into the all-time column. 6 for 11, the home team.
Unbelievable. Again, just up there. He's just obviously made the mind up. As soon as it's full, I'm going to go. And it's a big shot. Trying to launch over mid-off, really. Nick to the keeper, and 6 for 11. It's incredible what we're seeing right now. And I can't see them hanging on. Like the way that they're bowling, we could be in for one of the all-time lowest totals in Test cricket.
This is not at all what we anticipated. How could you possibly? I'm just looking at lowest totals in Test cricket. So the New Zealand 26 is the lowest total. That looks a mile away at 6 for 11.
It really does, and the way they're bowling, the way the ball's moving, and Alzari Joseph's going to come and give it a crack, no doubt. But yeah, I think this could be one for the record books today.
And for all the West Indies' problems in recent times and the struggles that they've been on really over the last 3 decades after being the former superpower, of course, of world cricket, their lowest score ever, Crossy, in a Test match, came back in March of 2004 when they were all out for 47. 47. They're currently 6 for 11. It's hard to believe what we're seeing. 10 wickets have fallen today for 33 runs.
We still have 25, but they could get bowled out before the first break. There's 25 minutes left.
In bright sunshine, by the way. It's not as if it's thick overcast cloud or anything like that. On day 3, Hazelwood to Alzari, works it off his hip, tucks it down to fine leg. There'll be a run to be had there, so make it 6 for a dozen. They're leg buys. 26 looks so far away at 6 for 12.
It does. And 40, what was it? 43, their lowest. And it's the middle of the day. It's not like it's an early morning pitch with a bit of softness in it. It's the middle of the afternoon. It's 3:07.
Starc in his 100th Test match has taken his 400th Test wicket. Hazelwood outside the off stump, and Graves just pulls the bat on the inside. If you're just waking up, welcome to Grandstand Cricket on ABC Sport. It's 7 minutes past 6 Australian Eastern Time. And as you rub the sleep out of your eye, 6 for 12 is the score. That's right, the West Indies are 6 for 12, having bowled Australia out for 121. The victory target was set at 204. It looked like it was in play, and John Campbell was out the very first ball of the innings. Starc had 3 wickets in the first over, a triple wicket maiden. And then after that, he added his 400th in Test wicket, and he's got a 5 for already. The Windies 6 for 12. Graves, off the back pad into the, or high off the thigh pad into the gloves of Inglis. It took a deflection, but no appeal. 6 for 12. Hazelwood's got 1. And Mitchell Starc at the other end, what's his figures? He's got 5 for 6 of 3 overs, including 2 maidens.
They've just got to see off this opening pair and get to Cummins and Boland. So there's no respite.
We've had a wicket off the first ball of the day. We've had 3 wickets in the first innings of the West Indies second dig. We've had Starc get his 400th Test wicket. It's just been an incredible morning. 10 wickets falling, 34 runs scored. What a game Test cricket is. And the all-time lowest total ever in the history of the game is in play. As Graves defending out towards point. It's picked up there by Mitchell Starc, and he's going to keep the ball as he's about to bowl what will be his 4th over. 5 for 6 his figures. We've got a change in comms coming up. We are still 20 minutes away from what is the first break, the tea interval here on the 3rd day from Sabina Park in Jamaica. The Windies 6 for 12. Ben Cameron is on his way in to join Adam Crosthwaite.
ABC sports coverage of the West Indies versus Australia, live on ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
What a crazy hour and change of Test match cricket. We have seen 10 for 34 to begin this 3rd day. The Aussies losing 4 for 22 off 7.1 overs in 45 minutes this morning, or early this afternoon, I should say, and the West Indies 6 for 12. Mitchell Starc trying again and nearly nicking off Alzari Joseph. Angling across him, and it's zipping through to Inglis.
There's pace, there's bounce, there's swing. Mitchell Starc with his tail up looks incredible. And history is around the corner. The way that it's going, you just don't feel that they can even get to 26. As silly as that sounds.
1955 that happened. 1955. Starc bounding in, bowling here to Alzari Joseph, shouldering arms. Aussie fans in the house enjoying it. A Fremantle Dockers jumper in the crowd and loving the work of Mitchell Starc. The 4th to 400 in Test 100. And fittingly, at the time, he had 4 for none. Symmetry in that. Warren, McGrath, Lyon, and now Starc writes his name into the record books. Sabina Park in Jamaica. Bright sunshine. Tour groups loving it. Starc passing the umpire, bowling to Alzari, defending for defensive on the push down to mid-off. Joe the Crow from Canberra. Greetings, gentlemen. Listening to the cricket on the ABC app. It sounds like the end-of-day summary play in real time. Scary stuff. Question for the panel, how does the West Indies return to being a superpower like the team of the 70s and the 80s? We'll certainly pose that to Carl. It feels like their bowlers are just about there. It's just the batsman. Starc bowling again here and angling across Alzari Joseph. Jags away from him as well.
Yeah, that's actually great bowling, the one that nips away. How do they get back to the superpower? I think a lot of this comes down to the business of cricket. For mine, it's trying to find a way that we can keep the best players in Test cricket and make sure that Test cricket is the number one game rather than losing a lot of their players to the franchises. But yeah, their fast bowling has been outstanding, but their batters are
out of their depth.
Yeah, out of their depth, and they've struggled. And this, to compound it, Mitchell Starc on a worldly day for him.
Alzari Joseph facing Starc again, edging towards the slip put down. Diving to his right, Consta's got one hand to it, can't hold on to it. It was very nearly 7 for 12. Again,
And just running his fingers down it a little bit there, trying to go away, and a bit of a lazy effort from Constance in the slips.
He almost could have got two hands to it.
Should have gone with two. He's sort of gone one. The bent one arm and just put it down.
I like this from Beansy and Broadford. Alzari Joseph took his 5th wicket about 50 minutes ago, and now he's batting. 3 slips in a gully. They await another chance. Starc steams in and angles across, and it is carrying through at the moment. Inglis taking that above head height. And I just want to run you through this. Mitchell Starc so far today. First over, wicket. Dot, 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 wicket, wicket. Second over, a maiden, all dot balls. Third over, wicket. Then there were 2 runs off the bottom edge from Shea Hope that just worked its way through the cordon. Wicket, dot, 4, dot, and then another maiden, including that drop catch. That is a spell of bowling.
Unbelievable. It's as good a piece of bowling as you'll see. It sort of has this feeling of something silly and something special is just on the horizon. Obviously special enough with him taking his 400th and 3 in the first over, but there's still something happening here, and his record's about to tumble, as you said. 26 by New Zealand in 1955. Under threat.
3 slips, and it's nearly a 4th slip. A gully, a leg slip, and a bat pad. Hazelwood new over, pulling Graves without timing, but it balloons through mid-wicket. Boland after it from mid-on and runs it in close to the boundary line. Valuable runs for the West Indies, 2 of them. 6 for 14 as they try to avoid the lowest ever total in Test match cricket. 26 by New Zealand against England in Auckland in 1955.
I think people will be asking as well, is this pitch a bad pitch? It's not a bad pitch. The ball's definitely moving and seaming around, but there's consistent bounce. It's not like the ball's going through a tie. It's not dangerous. It's just been outstanding bowling. It's got some pace. It's got some carry. But yeah, it's not like we're imminently about to walk off the ground because the wicket's dangerous.
Hazelwood right arm over, bowling to Graves, who plays and misses. Ball decks away from him, passes his outside edge through to Inglis. No, the pitch is playing like it has for the first 2 days, particularly during the daytime. It's changed a little bit as we move to nightfall, but fairly consistently. Alzari Joseph looks like he's lamenting the state of the game as he's standing at the non-strikers end. He's got his head tilted to the sky as if to say, are you kidding me?
There's nothing worse. You upset a fast bowler. Like, as a player, you upset your fast bowlers if your top order just gets done. He's bowled his heart out, and now he's batting.
Hazelwood arrives again, and an inside edge from Graves onto his pad. Nibbling away at the stumps there, Hazelwood. It's historic bowling quartet for the Aussies. Without line in this test, they've gone for the 4-pronged pace attack. Alzari Joseph, he was the star with the ball for the West Indies. Hurried up Steve Smith last night with a short ball. Didn't get well enough forward to the full delivery and played it on. Alzari Joseph finishing up with 5 for 27. His best bowling figures in Test match cricket. His second 5 for. And now he's out there batting. But Graves on strike. Hazelwood to Graves driving. Square driving for 4. Runs for the Windies. Graves onto 10. In a total of 18 at the moment. They are 6 for 18. And they are 8 runs away from avoiding the lowest ever Test total.
All the catches are lined up in the slip, so no point driving away. And again, you think that Graves, the way he played in the first innings, he looked good, and he's coming out, he's playing his shots. Nothing to lose at 6 for 18.
Braves, a runner ball 10. In dire circumstances. Looking at Hazelwood again, on driving this time. That twists in his hand. Goes down to Cummins at mid-on. Six for 18. A lot of text coming in around. I'll just read this one out verbatim. It seems like every Windies series concludes with a lament about the state of Windies cricket and that the solution lies in balancing the equality of opportunity for players from less affluent nations. How do minnows compete in a global economy? Hazelwood in and bowling, and Graves plays and misses at a ball wide of the off stump. It bounces on its way through to Inglis. End of the over from Hazelwood. 6 for 18, the West Indies. Well, I think the continual answer that we arrive at is standardisation of a national contract from the ICC. That's what we need. We need players paid equally across all nations. We can't have a situation where a West Indies centralised contract is somewhere between 130 and 180,000 US dollars when you're a player who can then go and make somewhere between 3 and 4 million US dollars by playing on the T20 circuit like Nicholas Pulran can. Because who amongst us, ask yourself that question. Would you play Test cricket if that was the economics of it?
Exactly right. And that's where, the ICC need to step in, and it needs to be funded properly, and that's the issue. The fact that we got two teams here on completely different pay scales.
Starc again. Looks like taking a wicket every ball. Bowling to Alzari Joseph. Mistiming a cover drive. Peter from Camden thinks we're lacking empathy for the West Indies. Certainly not, Peter. I think we're cheering for an enthralling run chase today and have been stunned by the destruction from Mitchell Starc. And I think we all want, broadly, the West Indies to be a powerhouse again. And we see the joy for our mate Carl Hooper when they're playing well, and we see the dismay on his face when the West Indies struggle. Six for 18. Alzari Joseph looking at the dangerous Starc, who's bowling now, and he's fishing at a ball wide of the off stump. Passes his outside edge.
I agree, Benny. I was up cheering for the West Indies when they were knocking the last 4 Australian batters over this morning or this afternoon, but now what we've just had is just a display of destruction, as you've said. Mitchell Starc, that's as good a spell of bowling, and he's still in it as you will ever see.
We were asking the question, you and I, Crossy, at the back of the box. There was a chance he was going to have 5 for none. And we thought that probably has never happened in Test match cricket before. He ended up with 5 for 2, having had 4 for none, 3 for none, 2 for none, and 1 for none. 3 slips a gully, almost a second gully at a backward point. As he bowls once more on the stumps, and Joseph keeps him out. Thick inside edge, bounces to Travis Head under the lid at bat pad.
I think it's what makes these guys so incredible, and Mitchell Starc himself just unbelievable. The fact that they're coming to the back of a series, they've been in the heat, they've been in the Caribbean for a good month now, and he still continually bowls 140 plus, pushing into the mid 140s. He's just such an athlete that runs in and charges in, and the skill in his wrist to be able to swing the ball back at that pace is unbelievable.
3 balls into this Starc over. Rumbles in again. Inglis goes down, and it's a full wide delivery. Unmoved Alzari Joseph. The end of the over, I'll run you through how it's all played out today. But Mitchell Starc taking his 400th Test wicket in his 100th Test, and a 5-wicket haul to boot as well. the most dangerous bowler in world cricket with a pink missile in hand. And he's proved that again. Phil from Brisbane. I'm irritated. Woke up earlier. Australia all out. Windies could win. Snoozed. Woke up again. Starc has taken 1 billion wickets. Windies on the verge of a record loss. You snooze, you lose indeed. Closing in on the short break as well. Starc trying again to Alzari Joseph, a bouncer. He ducks underneath it. I wonder as well, Starc will bowl through here to the short break, have a little spell. Surely if you're Mitchell Starc, you're saying, I'm continuing.
Yeah, it'd be tough to get the ball out of his hand, especially when the captain's probably licking his lips just as much as anyone. But yeah, I think you let Mitchell Starc go for as long as he can.
Coming up at the short break as well, an ABC daily feature on Italy qualifying for the World Cup. That is the Joe Burns captain Italy making it through.
I've got a couple of mates in that team, a couple of guys I played with and against, so it's been a sensational ride by the Italians.
Starc coming around the wicket, angling in at Alzari Joseph, who's driving on the bounce to that backward point. Cummins dives to his left of field. So who are they?
So I think there's, well, the Menenti brothers are there. AJ Mosca, obviously Burns. There's six Australian-born Italian cricketers in that group. There's a bloke by the name of Emilio Gay who plays in England, plays county cricket, an unbelievable batter. So there's some serious talent in that side, just like the American team that shocked the world in the last T20 World Cup. Don't be surprised if the Italians take a scalp or two. They beat Scotland the other day, which got them in.
My boys. End of the Starc over as well. I always tell the story, Crossy, that when I was a kid, I wanted to play for Australia. I thought, gee, I might struggle. I thought maybe I can go play for New Zealand. They're not quite as strong. My mum's a Kiwi. And then I thought, no, I'm probably not going to play for the Kiwis either. Maybe I can go play for Dad's Scotland. Wasn't good enough for that either. Mitchell Starc has taken the fastest ever 5-wicket haul, just 15 balls. The previous best, 19. Hazelwood starting a new over, flashing his Graves. A ball not quite full enough to be driving through the covers. Another ball that flashes past the outside edge. This is a real shame again, because what we have seen through this series is the West Indies have their moments, and they've really challenged Australia at different times, and we've thought they've been in test matches, but there's just been little periods in which they've taken it away from the host, the Aussies. Hazelwood right arm over again, and Graves shoulders arms very wide of the off stump. Some of those names, Mitchell Starc, 15-ball, 5-wicket haul today, the fastest in Test history. Ernie Toshik, back in 1947 against India, 19 balls, the next fastest. Stuart Broad and Scotty Boland, also with 19-ball, 5-wicket hauls. Boland against England at the MCG in 2021.
To think that Mitchell Starc was faster than that Scotty Boland or even a Stuart Broad against the Aussies.
Hazelwood passing umpire Holdstock and beating the outside edge of Greaves. So it should be the short break at the end of this over. 6 for 18, the West Indies. Recapping the day. So it started with news that Josh Inglis would come out and keep for Alex Carey. Not officially subbed out with concussion, but with the replacement player allowed to keep, they've put Inglis out there 45 minutes this morning, Australia collapsed, or so we thought that was a collapse. 4 for 22 off 7.1 overs. Cameron Green out first ball, leaving a delivery from Shamar Joseph. Alzari Joseph cleaning up the tail. He took 5 for 27. His second test fifer. The best of the West Indian bowlers. Hazelwood arriving again, and Graves playing and missing. Maybe slightly playing inside the line. So 204 to win. We thought, yep, you beauty. The West Indies are a real chance. First ball, it all looked dire. John Campbell nicking off. Test wicket 397 for Starc. Kevlon Anderson struck on the pad later in that over off the fifth delivery. Worst review I've seen in Test cricket amongst a bad bunch. They were 2 for none. And then Brandon King was bowled off the final ball of that first over from Starc. They were 3 for none. 399th Test wicket for Mitchell Starc. Then Mikhail Louis, LBW. Starc had 4 for none. His 400th Test wicket. The fourth Aussie to 400, the second seamer. And the West Indies were 4 for 5. Hazelwood. In and bowling. Jagging it away and past Inglis. It's beaten Graves, it's beaten everyone. And it's 4 byes. 6 for 22, the West Indies. And now they may get past the lowest ever Test total of 26 for the Kiwis back in 1955.
Edging closer towards it, but this one's just taken off, and Inglis nowhere near it. Big acrobatic dive, but shows the ball still knifing around.
So 1 ball to come in the Hazelwood over, and you would think the first session of day 3. Then Shy Hope came out, the last hope for the West Indians, and he was nicking a ball through the slips. It didn't carry. 2 runs there. He was out after LBW to Starc. For just those 2 runs. Hazelwood here to Graves. Rock solid forward defensive. And that should end the session. And the West Indians reach the short break at 6 for 22. Starc had 5 for 2 at that point. The West Indians were 5 for 7. Roston Chase, an expansive stroke, out for a duck. They were 6 for 11. 6 for 11. And they've added 11 more without loss to get to 6 for 22. And maybe they'll save their blushes and avoid that lowest ever total. So to read through this card, Campbell. Out for a duck, very first ball. Naught. Kevlon Anderson, the second man to go. Out for naught, surviving 4 deliveries. Brandon King, bowled Starc, a first ball duck. They were 3 for none at the end of the first over. And then Mikhail Louis, he was out for 4. They were 4 for 5 at that point in time. Shy Hope came out, as I said. He made 2. He was out, LBW, off the bowling of Starc. 5 for 7 when he was on his way back to the pavilion. Roston Chase out for naught, caught by Inglis off the bowling of Hazelwood. From 11 deliveries, they were 6 for 11. And Justin Graves is 10 not out. Alzari Joseph is yet to get off the mark. He's faced 13 balls. The figures, the 2 Aussie openers, 5 overs Mitchell Starc, 4 maidens, 5 for 6. Josh Hazelwood, 5 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 10. Adam Crosthwaite, what a session of Test cricket. That is as dramatic as it gets.
It really was. It started beautifully with the West Indians knocking over the Australians and getting them back into the game and getting to a position where, hey, you're only chasing 204. That's gettable. But Mitchell Starc is just an absolute classic. 5 for 6. Words really can't describe how good that was. And yeah, they'll limp over the lowest ever Test total, but it's been devastating bowling.
Yeah, no guarantee yet, though, to pass their lowest ever total, which was 47 against England. So still a bit of work to do there. Some text rolling in. Giles, listening in Tallinn, Estonia, which is the captain of Estonia, I learnt after an earlier text from Giles, and feeling that this amazing bowling is right back to the 1980s West Indies versus Australia. Long live fast bowling. And what about this from Mary in Mount Lawley, when they're not following our test side around the world? Corbin and Ben, loving the coverage. Just back from England v India at Lords. Before that, Test 1 and 2 in Barbados and Grenada. What a quiet super achiever Mitchell Starc is. Money disparity is one thing, but T20 has a lot to answer for. The original format needs to be valued and focused on by CA, the ICC, et al.
Don't mind it. I think we agree.
Oof. Time for us to just gather ourselves after a dramatic, destructive spell of bowling from Mitchell Starc and a crazy, incredible first session on day 3 of this third test from Sabina Park in Kingston, Jamaica. It is grandstand cricket on ABC Sport. Coming up at this short break, an ABC Sport Daily episode, a feature on Italy's T20 World Cup qualifying success. Team led by Joe Burns. That is coming up. But the West Indies, 6 for 22, needing a very most unlikely 182 further runs for victory. This is Grandstand Cricket on ABC Sport.
ABC Listen. Keeping bored parents busy is easy with the ABC Listen app. Then we can listen to our stuff, like Bluey Listen Along and all new Dino Dome. Hear it all now on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
Hello, Poppy Penny here. It's time for ABC Sport Daily, your daily sporting conversation.
Down the track is Joe Burns and, well, opens his shoulders. And that is the first 6 of the contest.
That's former Test opener Joe Burns helping his team qualify for the 2026 T20 World Cup. But Australia are already in the 2026 T20 World Cup, aren't they? Yes, but this was for Italy. Burns is among a number of Australians with Italian heritage who are helping bring Italy to the cricketing world stage. Here in Australia, people say being the Australian Test captain is the second most important job in the country behind the Prime Minister. So what's it like in Italy? And could we be seeing more of the Azzurri in world cricket to come? Viva Italia. I'm Poppy Penny and this is ABC Sport Daily. Erin Marsico-Vettere is a reporter with ABC Sport and has been covering the rise of the Italian cricket team. Erin, Italy have qualified for the 2026 T20 World Cup. And look, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised, but there is actually a history of cricket in Italy. Is that right?
There is, Poppy, that's right. You wouldn't believe it, but it actually goes back to 1793 is the first recorded cricket game in Naples. 100 years later, there were cricket and football clubs, soccer clubs formed by Englishmen in Genoa, in Milan, in Turin. And Milan is now this soccer giant, AC Milan. And a lot of these huge clubs in Serie A actually have their roots in cricket as well because of how they began. But it wasn't until 1997 that the Federazione Cricket Italiana was formed, and they have been officially recognised by the ICC since then. And it was just a few years ago that this team was almost able to qualify for a World Cup. They just missed out, so they have been building for quite a long time.
So for the first time, they have qualified for a T20 World Cup. Can you tell me a bit about the process? How did we get here?
So they got to this point where they made it to this final 5. It was a round-robin tournament, a European qualifier. We have qualifiers for these associate nations right around the world, through Asia, through Africa, and they had to finish in the top 2 of their groups. So they were up against Jersey and Guernsey, as well as Scotland and the Netherlands. And this tournament was played in the Netherlands as well. Now, Scotland have made the last 4 T20 World Cups, and they are always there and thereabouts, and they're in the ODI World Cup as well, and no slouches at all. But the Italians managed to stage an upset win over the Scots, and they also beat Guernsey.
That does go down the ground as he carried the distance. I think he will, and that'll be the winning runs. And it's a terrific strike, a terrific 6 from Mosca, who's been quite brilliant. He finishes up on 66 off 37 with a statement win.
There was a washout against Jersey defeated by the Netherlands, but they got in there. They finished second in their group, so they're off to the World Cup.
I remember not all that long ago when former Australian opener Joe Burns announced that he would be heading to Italy to captain this side in a bid to get Italy into the T20 World Cup. What was that process for him? Why did he make that decision?
Well, Joe Burns, of course, played for Australia, played 23 tests. He made 4 centuries.
It goes. He did go for it. It's gone all the way, has it? Yes, it has. What a magic moment for Joe Burns. Australia have found another hero at the top of the order.
Successful as an opener, but his last test was against India on Boxing Day back in 2020. And there'd been some time since he'd played for Australia. He was playing for Queensland in the Sheffield Shield, but wasn't offered a new contract for the 24-25 season. Very sadly, his brother passed away in February last year, his brother Dominic, and things then started to open up for him for the Italian national team. So in order to switch country allegiances in cricket, you need a 4-year gap from when you last played. And so because it had been since 2020 for Burns, he was able to switch his nationality. And he does have Italian heritage through his mother. His grandparents came to Australia as migrants in the 50s and 60s. And he saw it as a great opportunity to pay tribute to his brother and to his extended family and really the sacrifices that they made in coming to Australia and how difficult that would have been for them. And as a way of really giving back, I suppose. And he's very passionate about building up cricket in Italy.
In the air, trying to be competitive, trying to loft it and up the rate. Joe Burns takes a very handsome catch at cover.
And he wears his brother's number 85 as well when he plays for Italy. He's captaining the side. Who's he captaining? What's the sort of makeup of this team, Erin?
Well, there's a lot of dual nationals in this team because, of course, cricket's obviously not the number one sport in Italy. It's soccer, football. But obviously Australia has this long heritage of Italian migrants coming here. Italians also went to England, to South Africa. And there is also pools of players who are either immigrants themselves or the children of immigrants who have come from India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, who live in Italy. So you have these different pools of people who are got their eligibility through various means. But this team, there's a lot of Aussies, which is wonderful for us to follow. So we've got Harry and Ben Menenti, brothers, who have played in the Big Bash here. Ben has played for South Australia in the Sheffield Shield as well.
Oh, he's gone. Another clever bit of bowling. Ben Menenti, top off stump.
Grant Stewart, an Australian-born county cricketer in England, is part of the team, as well as AJ and Justin Mosca.
He worked into the gap, and that will be 50 as well, and it's come at good time. He'll come back for a brace, take him to 51. Terrific batting from Mosca.
Justin's a PE teacher in Western Sydney. AJ's a carpenter, and they are childhood friends of the Menentis, and they were brought into the fold by them and really initially thought that this might be a bit of a joke and weren't sure how seriously to take it.
We probably took it at first as a bit of a gimmick, bit of a joke, and weren't too sure what we could get out of it.
So how did they go from thinking that this might be a bit of a laugh, go and play cricket for Italy with our mates, to qualifying for a T20 World Cup for a carpenter and a PE teacher and these part-time cricketers?
Well, the administration in Italy are very serious about what they're doing. It's no joke to those who are trying to build the sport up within the country. So there are 100 cricket clubs in Italy, and because of the melting pot of migrants that are there, it is slowly becoming more popular. They are running coaching clinics and umpiring clinics and really trying to get in at the grassroots level. And once AJ and Justin in particular realised that and were brought into the fold and saw all the effort that's being put behind this team, there's no joke here. It is serious.
I'm Poppy Penny and this is ABC Sport Daily. We're speaking to Erin Marsico-Vatera about the fact that Italy has qualified for the T20 World Cup. Erin, we don't really have any guys who are native Italians in this team, so I'm going to put my cynic hat on here and ask, is this just a bunch of guys who were looking for a free trip to Italy to play cricket? Can you tell me why that isn't the case?
Potentially in the beginning, it may have been. I mean, who would say no if you know, if you had eligibility and you were approached by the team. But the assistant coach of the Italian team, Peter Di Venuto, he's the brother of Michael Di Venuto, who's the assistant of the Australian cricket team. And these guys just love cricket and they want to bring it and broaden it and grow the game because there is so much potential. Cricket has just for so long been Commonwealth countries and there's a whole world out there.
There's been obviously an enormous influx, like around the world, of subcontinent people into Italy. We have quite a few Aussies. So it's a mixture of those that have dual citizenship and those that are residing in Italy at the moment.
And these guys, to them personally, it is about giving back to the country of their parents, their grandparents. You know, when their grandparents left Italy to come to Australia, it was on a boat that took a month to get here. They said goodbye to their relatives that they thought they would probably never see again and didn't. And, you know, life was very difficult in the beginning and all these generations later, they're able to really enjoy Australian life and, you know, their story is so Australian in a lot of ways, but they're able to pay tribute to their heritage and it does mean a lot to them.
We are a small nation in cricket, very small nation in cricket terms, but we're still wearing the Italian crest on our chest every day. So to go out there and make them proud and put them on the map is such a huge opportunity for us.
As you say, anyone who's wearing the Azzurri Blu is supported by Italians, and I imagine that they'll feel the same about this cricket team. But for us, we kind of think, you know, seeing the Azzurri Blu play cricket in a T20 World Cup, that's a really fun storyline. But is there something bigger happening here? Is this the start of cricket actually taking off in Italy, or is this just the start of Australians going to play cricket in Italy?
Well, it's interesting because we've got the LA Olympics coming up in just a few years and despite being in America, cricket is going to be a part of the Olympics. So it will just be a 6-team tournament, so quite small. Don't think Italy will make the cut that time around. But then looking further ahead to Brisbane 32, you would think that Australia would keep cricket in the Olympics after being in LA. And then further down the track, India really wants to host the Olympics. And there's nothing Indians love more than cricket.
Starting to go to the Olympic Committee and getting involved in conversations as that has been picked up beautifully around the corner.
And more people play cricket in the world than so many other sports. And if we can get everyone interested in playing cricket in more countries around the world, then I do think this is a period in time where we are just going to see this huge amount of growth.
It's very exciting for everybody. We're all looking forward to seeing Italy play in the 2026 T20 World Cup. They have officially qualified. Erin Marsico-Vetter, I thank you so much for your time. Viva Italia.
Thank you.
The ABC Listen app has it all. The British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia, Wimbledon, and West Indies versus Australia. Oh, and did I mention we're doing the footy every weekend? ABC Sport on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
The West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
It'll be Starc to Campbell, lefty to lefty, and Campbell's nicking the first ball. He's out, caught behind. A dream start for the Australians. It's a nightmare to begin for the West Indies. 5 balls in. Brandon King awaits. Starc delivers. He's through him. Starc's got 3. He's taken 3 wickets in the first over. Shy Hope on strike. Awaits Starc. He's hit on the pad. Shout for leg before. That's out 2. Starc's got a 5-er. In his 100th test, he's into the 400s and counting in the test wicket column. 3 slips of gully, short leg. Chase, nicking, trying to drive down the ground. Inglis hangs on to it. The West Indies 6 for 11. And the captain goes for a duck too. And this goes from bad to worse for the West Indies. This is headed into the all-time column. 6 for 11, the home team.
The West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
From 6 for 11 to 6 for 22 at the tea break after the end of the first session. What an eventful start to the third and what is certainly going to be the final day of the third test and more broadly the Frank Worrell Trophy, the series between Australia and the West Indies. It was headed to the all-time column at 6 for 11. At 6 for 22. But we're a little more optimistic that the West Indies will make it past New Zealand's lowly 26 from the mid-50s. That is the all-time low in Test cricket, 26. They're still 4 runs away from that. And in terms of the West Indies cricket history, well, 47 is the lowest total the country's ever produced. And that still looks a way off at 6 for 22. Corbin Middlemas alongside Carl Hooper, West Indian cricketing great. Carl, you've had a moment to try and process what we saw in that first session. It started so well. A fifer for Alzari Joseph, the Aussies all out for 121. A gettable 204, or so it appeared. And it's 6 for 11. I'm not sure even the most pessimistic West Indies supporters would have thought that it could get into that kind of a position.
It's probably all but over. But I think what we just witnessed was a master at work. I mean, a brutal spell of fast bowling, 145 plus, late swing at pace. I mean, the West Indies batters they had no chance. And you got to feel for them. Some of them look out of their depth. Certainly, you got to feel for Kevlon Anderson batting at 3 in his debut Test match. First innings being knocked over by Starc, and then in this innings getting a big one that swung back late at pace and virtually kicked it off the stump, and then in a panic reviewed it after having a chat with his non-striker partner Louis. Look, I think it's disappointing that when we came in this morning, I wanted the batters to really back up the good work from the bowlers. Alzari this morning picking up 5 for Shamar has been fantastic. All 3 Test matches. Seals has been there and thereabouts. And I think it was time West Indies batters stood up and at least make a fight of this. It was a challenge in total. It wasn't a big total. It's only 200 and odd to get. Of course, it wasn't going to be easy, but I expected them to so much more fight. Having said that, like I said, it's a fantastic spell of fast bowling from mid-Starc, but as the scoreboard read 22 for 6, it's disappointing.
6 for 11 at one point, 6 for 22 as it is at the moment. There'd be a lot of frustrated cricket fans, I'm sure, from the Caribbean about the fact that it's that these are the numbers that are being produced, and that there's this great gap between the two teams, particularly with such reason for optimism when the West Indies left our shores in January of 2024 after defeating the Aussies at the Gabba, and then here they are feeling like they're at a winning position on the back of the bowlers. So I heard Carlos Brathwaite on ESPN speak during the tea break, and he referred to it as abysmal. It was unfair, he said, on the bowlers, that they had to do all the hard work with the ball, and now they're going to have to do some of the work with the bat as well to try and save the blushes of the country. I guess, how do they fix it? What went wrong? How was the batting, I guess, in this kind of state?
Well, let me say this. I mean, the last time West Indies played against Australia, we had a fantastic 1-all drawn series. We all remember the heroics of the Brisbane Test match. Now, since then, the West Indies Cricket Board or Cricket West Indies has seen it fit to make some bold changes. I mean, whether those changes are the right changes or not is debatable. The head coach has been removed. Darren Sammy is employed as the all-format head coach. A lot of the members, a lot of the players that played in that Test match and actually that went on to tour England also, have been dropped for one reason or the other. And they've gone in a totally different direction, and I think this is the end result. So were those decisions the right decisions? I think given the result that we've had in this Test series, no. I'll just come back to it after the first ball.
It's fallen wide of off stump, and Inglis dives in front of Khawaja at first slip to take it behind the stumps. 6 for 22 started the second session on day 3.
Yeah, so whenever there's a little bit of progress, we seem to shoot ourselves in the foot. We always seem to be looking for short-term fixes. I think they should have stuck with the core squad that came to Australia, that went on tour to England, that went on tour to Pakistan and drew 1-all. But they've made some wholesale changes. The reasons being, I don't know why. But I think you're seeing that it bear fruit. I mean, it's actually like one step forward and three backwards.
Starc charges in again, already with a fifer on the thigh pad of Elzari Joseph, and he turns it just narrowly past Travis Head at short leg. Elzari Joseph dropped by Constas in that morning session, afternoon session, given the day-night fixture. Travis Head, how close was this? Just short, just wide.
Just in carry. You know, Corbs, there was a huge debate. Craig Brathwaite was removed as captain, and Ralston Chase, who was in the wilderness for some 2 or 3 years, hadn't played a red ball game, was installed as captain after interviewing some 6 players, which was crazy. You know, I've always thought that the captain, the first thing he's got to do is command his place in the side. I mean, he will even come under scrutiny after this test series is over, because it's not going to get any easier. You tore India for 3 test matches. There's every chance you'll lose all 3, and then you go to New Zealand. So even looking down the road, it's not going to be any easier for him.
6 for 23, the target 204. Graves on 10, Joseph on 1. Starc wide of off stump, and Graves lets it go. Who should captain this team?
Well, I was a big fan of Jason Holder. You know, he's been around for a long time, and the players hold him in high esteem. And I just think he would have been a stronger fourth seamer rather than Graves. He's also an established test cricketer, and he can command his place in the side. But for whatever reasons, I think there's a little bit of politics there. I mean, it's hard to believe that Jason Holder cannot make a West Indies Test 11. But that's where we're at. And, you know, I'm just tired of the politics involved in West Indies cricket. You know, because at the end of the day, what you're seeing on the field is the effect of all these, well, to be bluntly, stupid decisions.
Graves squared up to leading edge, bobbles up on the offside, and dot ball. Graves wanted a single, and Joseph says stay there. 6 for 23. Target 204, Corbin, Middlemas and Carl Hooper on Grandstand Cricket through ABC Sport.
I mean, the last series we played was against Pakistan. We drew 1-1. England toured Pakistan before us and lost 2-1. They won the first test and lost the other 2 test matches horribly. We went there, lost the first test match, and then the guys, credit to the guys, they bounced back immediately in the second test match and won it. Now, half of the blokes from that team have gone, you know.
So is that Sammy wanting to put his mark on it, or is it?
I mean, Sammy's the head coach and the sole selector with some scouts in a system that is poor.
Graves defends on the offside, 6 for 23.
You just gotta watch. You got young guys walking out to bat, somebody bowling rockets and swinging the ball in late. Anybody that's played a little bit of cricket knows you've got to get your front foot out of the way. You've got to get your left leg out of the way so you open up, so you can access the ball. And you watch them go out and one after the other keep doing the same thing. If you're not getting hit on the pad, you're getting bowled because you can't access the ball. Well, in time, it's too quick. And you've got seasoned, like I mentioned yesterday, you've got Gordon Greenidge and you've got Desmond Hayes. These guys played against some of the fastest, some of the best bowlers in the world. Engaged him.
3 slips in a gully, short leg. Graves awaits, short ball, ducks underneath it. So end of the over, the first one after the tea break. 6 for 23, the West Indies. That's right, 6 for 23. It was 6 for 11. Quick story of the day. Australia resumed at 6 for 99, and we thought that all happened fast. They lost their last 4 wickets for 22 runs. Inside 3/4 of an hour, Cam Green was out the very first ball of the day. He let one go off the bowling of Shamar Joseph, out for 42. Cummins eventually out for 5, caught a short leg off Elzari's bowling. Scott Boland was rock and rolled by Shamar Joseph for 1, and Hazelwood likewise by Elzari Joseph for 4. So Elzari finished up with 5 for 27, Shamar 4 for 34. There's a bit of a pep in their step in the West Indies as they went in at the change of innings. The victory target was 204. If you felt like it was within reach, it certainly wasn't after the first over, as Mitchell Starc took a triple wicket maiden. He got a wicket off the first ball of the innings, off the 5th ball, and then the 6th ball. John Campbell, a golden duck. Kevlin Anderson, a 4th ball duck. Brandon King, a golden duck. And at that stage, things were looking dire at 3 for zip. It was soon 4 for 5, 5 for 7, 6 for 11. Scott Boland is on for the first time in the innings. He delivers on off stump, and Elzari Joseph defends back down the pitch. Starc ended up taking Nicole Louis' wicket, LBW. That was his 4th. He was out for 4, and that was also Starc's 400th wicket in Test cricket. He had a fifer 2 balls later, and after just 15 deliveries, his figures were 5 for 2. It is the fastest 5-wicket haul in Test cricket history. 15 balls from start to finish to take 5 for 2. And Shy Hope was out for just 2. Boland wide of the stumps, and Elzari lets it go. And then Inglis took his second catch of the innings as Josh Hazlewood was able to pick him up for a duck. And at that stage, 10 for 33 had fallen in the morning. And it's not as if it's thick overhead conditions or there's any kind of spice in the significant spice in the pitch. It's a pink Duke's ball in the broad daylight. We've seen most of the wickets fall at night, and yet it has been absolute carnage this morning. The reason Inglis is there, by the way, Alex Carey was hit while batting yesterday. The Australian officials are saying it's not a concussion. He's not officially concussed, but was shaken up, and as a result, he's not fielding or not keeping. Boland to Elzari, defends high on the bat into the gully, and Green reels that in. 6 for 23, so Inglis is the sub-fieldsman, and he's able to keep after some changes in the cricket laws in recent years. So we've seen this in the Lord's Test match recently, where Dhruv Jurel took the gloves from Rishabh Pant. Pant was still able to bat. And unlike a concussion sub where you are completely replaced as a player, the Australians haven't pulled the trigger on that. So really at this stage, Inglis is just the replacement fieldsman. And given the fact the Aussies don't bat again, there's really no real reason to make that sub official. So it won't count as an official game for Inglis. As Elzari tries to take Boland downtown, he's hit it very high. It clears the infield. Smith runs back to regulation long off to retrieve it. Elzari with 2. And they're important runs for the West Indies. They move to 6 for 25. And as a result, they edge a little closer to avoiding the all-time lowest total in Test cricket history. Carl, a lot of our audience are huge fans of West Indies cricket. People grew up following your great teams that you played in and the sides that came before and after you. Is it ever going to get back to that? Is there a way that the West Indies can return to those glory days? As Elzari defends a ball on middle and off, out to mid-on.
I think if for 30 years, we lost the Sir Frank Worrell Trophy to Australia back in '95.
Yep.
And since then, it's been a steady decline. So that's that's 30 years. Just in a normal trend of cycles, sometimes in spite of your system being weak, you just manage to put together 12 or 14 good players and you have a bit of a run. No, we haven't had that in 30 years, which tells you there's something fundamentally wrong.
Elzari playing a miss, looking to drive Boland. 6 for 25, end of the over.
Which tells you there's something seriously wrong with our structure. I was mentioning before, and I'm a bit upset, I was mentioning it before about the politics involved with the game, coaches being changed, players being dropped, for whatever reason, I don't know. And then you see this end result, and they will continue with this. The structure of the board right now, we've obviously got the presidents from the Windward Islands, President Shallow. The cricketing director is a guy called Miles Bascom. He's from the Windward Islands. Darren Sammy's from the Windward Islands. And that's the setup. And I've seen this for years in West Indies cricket, and it's destroying West Indies cricket. So when you ask, are we going to come back, the answer is no, not if we continue along this road. We'll be long gone, and we'll still be doing this sort of stuff if the ICC don't step in. Because, this is embarrassing, 25 for 6. Yes, it's been a great spell of fast bowling, but there's no way you should be 25 for 6. You can't blame the wicket. And this is Test cricket. And the reason why you're playing Test cricket, because you're a good enough player. Even if you're a young player, you're good enough. You got to keep some of those balls out.
Starc to another right-hander in Graves. On the front foot, he drives, full-blooded to mid-off, and Smith fields. They're going to take a single. They get to 26. So 6 for 26, and this is the lowest total in Test cricket history. 26, set by a New Zealand team back in the mid-50s. The West Indies edging closer to making sure they avoid that bit of unwanted history. So what can the ICC do? What do you want to see them?
Well, take it out of the board's hand. I think I heard a suggestion where they wanted to standardize the payment. So straight across the board, once you're playing Test cricket, you paid X amount. I think that'll be a big step, because certainly from a monetary perspective, it will incentivize young West Indians to try and want to play some red ball cricket. And
Starc to Elzari, short, ducks underneath it.
I think that we've had success, whether in T20 cricket, in Test cricket, the occasional success, in spite of, not because of what is happening in the Caribbean, in spite of what the board is doing in the Caribbean. So what you're seeing right now, what we're experiencing today, this sort of disappointing end to a Test series, I think it's because of some of the decisions that have been made in the last few months by Cricket West Indies. Why change the head coach? You know, why after investing in a young Athanaze and a Kavim Hodge scored 100 against England, against a good attack. You know, he can't even get into the squad now. And, you know, you're bringing back white ball players. I mean, I'm a big fan of King and Hope, and I think there's a place for them, but I think also there's a place for your Kavim Hodge and your Athanaze.
Starc to Elzari, inside edge onto the pads, rolls away on the offside. 6 for 26, target 204.
So there are a lot of issues that's happening off the field that I think affects what's happening on the field. And a lot of times you can sense, like, we've collapsed now. This is the third successive time we've just collapsed, surrendered in the second innings. You know, Test cricket is tough cricket. You know, and it's hard competing for 2 days. And since we've been competitive for 2 days, it's the bowlers that have kept us in the game. You know, and batting is much harder because it's a mental game. I think it's a disappointing end to the Test series. But having said that, we did witness a very good spell of fast bowling from mid-Starc.
And it's still going as he gets an edge here. Constas drops another one. Elzari put down on 3, and Sam Constas at third slip. He dropped him in the first session, and he got hands to this again, outstretched to his right, went two-handed at it, bobbled up, had a second attempt, and it was out of reach. So Elzari Joseph now dropped twice by the same man, both times at third slip, and Starc denied his 6th wicket, at least for now.
Starc was none too happy, just sort of walked away with a shake of his head. It never rains, but it pours. Young Constas having to jump to his right and high, and had a second go at it, but just couldn't quite get there.
6 for 26. Elzari Joseph given a second life on 3. Sam Constas, as you said, 50 runs, 6 completed innings, and now 2 drop catches here. He tries to chop down on a ball and hits the ground, plays and misses. With the gloves of keeper Inglis. The Major League Cricket completed yesterday, so well on to the MI New York. They were able to win the title, such as the nature of this league. There's only 6 teams. You play 10 group matches. They only won 3 of them, and yet somehow qualified for the playoffs and then won the whole thing. So it's a little bit of madness. It's 3v4, 1v2, so they qualified through. But there's a lot, the reason why I bring it up at this particular juncture, there's lots of Caribbean cricketers that are obviously part of that tournament. I've got a list of names here. I'm going to run through a few of them, and you just give me a little shout out if you think these guys would be in this team, or at least put some significant pressure on. So sort of in a broader Test squad, if they were available for the West Indies rather than the franchise scene, as Starc a short one and ducking underneath at Elzari Joseph. End of the over, 6 for 26, and the victory target 204 after a morning of carnage in Jamaica. The Spice Man, Andre Fletcher.
Out, wouldn't be in.
Andre Russell.
Out.
Jason Holder.
In.
Rovman Powell.
Out.
Shafane Rutherford.
In.
Sunil Narayan.
If he wanted to play, would be in.
Nicholas Pooran.
Oh, definitely in.
Corin Pollard.
Out.
Romario Shepherd.
Would like to have him around and see how he develops.
Shimron Hitmeyer.
In. Or certainly in the squad.
Cole Mayers.
Squad player in the squad.
Obed McCoy.
Out.
And Akil Hussain.
Out.
So just those names alone. So then we've got Holder, Rutherford, Narayan, Pooran, Hetmeyer, and then you're looking at Shepherd and Mayers, and immediately, that's what, 7 guys. They just immediately beef up this squad. that are currently playing, or just finished playing franchise cricket rather than Test cricket. As Boland gets an edge, and Graves hits it straight to Webster at second slip. That's number 7. The West Indies 7 for 26, and Graves, the last of the recognised bats, departs for just 11. And this is headed to a fast finish. The West Indies still need another 178 runs. The Aussies just 3 wickets away.
Yes, all the right decisions. Scotty Boland back into the attack and getting one to pitch, and Seaman squaring Greaves up, nicking him off and straight to Webster's second slip, easy catch, shelling peas. West Indies, the scoreboard looks terrible, 26 for 7. Just think professional pride, you'd want to get that up somewhere over 50, at least 50.
Seven for 26. Boland gets his first wicket of the innings. He got 3 in the first dig. Here's Shamar Joseph, who is the West Indies' second leading run scorer coming into the Test match. That's right, second leading run scorer, despite the fact he's also taken 22 wickets for the series. And he walks into bat at number 9.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. I heard Carlos Bradford saying that you better use the word unfair. It actually is. You know, you can't be running in bowling. You know, fast bowling is hard, physical work, and then, you know, be asked to come out and also bat. I mean, this morning he was running in bowling, and Alzari was bowling this morning, and hasn't been a good hour and a half later, hour and a bit later, you're with batting hand. But the names that you mentioned there, you've got about 3 blokes there I reckon would walk straight into this team. Pooran certainly would. Jason Holder, I would definitely bring him in. And Rutherford has been very good for us in white ball, but I think he has the making of also playing some good red ball cricket.
Boland to Shamar, he's hit on the pad, and Inducker around the wicket. Umpire shakes his head. The Aussies have 3 reviews remaining should they want to use them. And Shamar Joseph might be in strife here, ball 1.
But maybe
and they're going to tee it up. They're going to have a look, 7 for 26.
It looked good. It's fairly straight, but just,
TV
if anything,
Umpires
it's the height.
Director, player review for LBW. Original decision is not out. Bowler's feet checked. It's a fair delivery. Spin vision when ready, please.
Coming around the wicket to Shamar Joseph. Pitches outside off stump. Seams back in. Struck Shamar on the back pad above the knee roll.
If there's any bats involved, just confirm that with Ultredge, please.
As Adam Crosthwaite's mentioned, that's what he does for fun. He slaps into your
going up there.
pads constantly.
Yeah, clear gap between
Scott
bats
Boland.
and ball. No bat involved. Ball tracking when ready, please.
This is Richard Kettleborough, so nervous wait for Shamar Joseph. Not out the on-field decision. It's hitting. He's out.
Pitching outside off, impact in line. Wickets is hitting. Adrian, I'm going to get you to change your decision to out. The on-screen signal now.
It's a 5th duck in the innings. 8 for 26. 8 for 26, the West Indies. And Shamar Joseph goes for a golden duck. LBW Boland. Scott Boland's got 2 for 2. And Shamar Joseph has got to walk back off.
You know, Corbs, I keep looking at the scoreboard and seeing now 26 for 8, and you just got to catch yourself every time you look at it. Can't believe the score. It's unbelievable.
26, by the way, is the lowest ever score in Test cricket history. So although they have equalled that mark, they haven't yet bettered it. And that was a New Zealand team in the 50s. So in the history of Test cricket, this grand old game dates back more than a century. The New Zealand team of 1955 at home in Auckland against England were all out for 26 inside 27 overs. That's the other thing. That lasted 27 overs. This is the 14th over of the innings.
And you wouldn't say it's been, certainly today, you wouldn't say it's been, you can't blame the wicket. I mean, Starc, it was pure swing with pace. I mean, this is just a ball that's back pitch and seaming into to Shamar. I mean, you can't fault Shamar. He's not a batsman. He can bat, but he's not a batsman. It's just been so disappointing.
I don't think we've had a hat-trick in Australian cricket since Peter Siddle on his birthday, so that was a minute ago now. And Scott Boland is not going to get too many better looks. He's going to bowl the right-handed Jamel Warrican. He's got 3 slips, 2 gullies. Boland is on a hat-trick. 8 for 26. Warrican awaits. He knocks him over. Boland's got a hat-trick. The West Indies are 9 for 26. And Scott Boland's got a hat-trick in Jamaica. The party continues for the Aussies. And Scott Boland, his fan club continues to grow. Already a beloved figure after his feats at the MCG. And now a special piece of Test history for him, a hat-trick.
All sorts of records being created. I mean, just got to shake my head. I mean, where did that pass? I mean, it's as if you're playing against schoolboys. I mean, for God's sake. How did that pass? It just pitched it. It just came back and he played a defensive shot and it missed everything and hit the top of the stump.
It is incredible what we've seen today. The Aussies losing 4 for 22. And now the West Indies are 9 for 26. That is just a startling day of Test cricket, where 48 runs have been scored. What's that? 13 wickets have fallen.
I'm very disappointed, not as an ex-player, just as a fan now. You know, we just had a fantastic game with India and England last night, and then you come here today, and while I didn't expect West Indies to win, I thought they'd have a red-hot goal. And just to succumb 26 for 9, 9 for 26.
It's the second hat-trick of the calendar year after Norman Ali took one against the same opponents, the West Indies, and Justin Graves was the first wicket of each of them. So an unwanted bit of history for him. Can Boland make it a double hat-trick and complete the innings? Seals defends the ball out on the offside. 9 for 26. It is still the equal lowest score in Test cricket history. And Scott Boland has taken 3 wickets in 3 balls.
I mean, you wouldn't bowl out too many district club sides in Adelaide for 26, much less a Test side. I think this has just been a very, very poor showing by the West Indies and leaves a lot to be desired.
And Jaden Seals is on strike as Boland's on his way in to try and close the show. He beats the outside edge and into the gloves of Inglis. 1 to get.
What is the lowest Test score? Is it 26?
It is 26.
So we've equaled it. Okay.
New Zealand against England in Auckland, March 1955.
That's a long time ago.
All out 26. It's the only score in the 20s. 9 for 26. And the victory target of 204. Great deal of optimism at the change of innings. Mitchell Starc blew the contest out of the water. The Seals takes a wild hoik at 1 and is a long way from getting back on board. 9 for 26. They still need 1 run, the West Indies, to avoid the equal lowest Test total in the history of the game. A hat-trick for Scott Boland. An incredible day so far. Grandstand cricket on ABC Sport. 1 wicket to get to complete the series. Ben Cameron about to join Carl Hooper.
On ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app, live coverage of the West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
I feel for you, Carlos. I can see it on your face.
Oh, this is bad, Ben. I feel for the fans that have come through. And we've got some diehard fans that continue to support, and they certainly deserve better than this. This is unacceptable. 9 for 26 is unacceptable. It's not as if we're playing on a minefield. You know, a great spell of fast bowling, but surely as a test batsman, you've got to keep out some of those balls.
6 ducks, 4 first ball ducks. 9 for 26. Mitchell Starc is bowling to Alzari Joseph. Around the wicket, angling in, and Joseph digs out a very full delivery. Bump ball to head underneath the lid.
And, you know, look, this is the game of cricket, and, you know, funny things happen, but this is unacceptable. And I think in situations like this, somebody's got to be held accountable. I would go as far as I would look at the, you know, whether it's the coaching staff. This is unacceptable. To be 26 for 9 in a test match at home on a wicket that is not a minefield. You know, a couple of heads definitely has got to roll.
Chasing 204 to win. We thought they were live. 3 slips in a gully. Starc angling in. Alzari Joseph, a thick edge and a misfield there in the gully. And that will see the West Indies go past the lowest ever total in test match cricket. And it's like the Aussies were aware of it. Green in the gully, a complete misfield. And it slides away down to the third man, and at least they will avoid the... It was Constas, in fact. They will avoid the disappointment of equaling the lowest ever test score, the West Indies.
And poor Constas, everything is happening for him. I mean, he shelled one just now. And this one just sort of rolled straight through his legs. Welcome to Test cricket. It'll get better.
Hopefully.
It will get better. He's only 19. And he's a talented kid, so he'll go back to the drawing board, get some runs, and come back a better player, I think.
So 3 slips in a gully, a backward point, a leg slip, and a bat pad under the lid. A wide mid off. And a straight mid on. Starc bowling to Jaden Seals. Left up, bowled him. And that seals the deal for the Aussies. A clean sweep of the Frank Worrell Trophy. And Mitchell Starc returns the favour with a send-off to Jaden Seals. It is the second lowest ever total in test match cricket. Calypso, collapso. The West Indies bowled out for 27. And Australia win by 176 runs. The third test at Sabina Park from Kingston, Jamaica.
And Ben, if I wasn't here to witness this, I wouldn't believe it. Let's say I was asleep and got up and then looked at the scorecard. I wouldn't have believed it. To be all out for 27 on a wicket that, okay, I wouldn't even say it's bowler friendly. It's a 50-50 wicket. When the lights come on in the evening, it's difficult to bat on, but it's not a wicket that you expect to be rolled for, not for 27. A poor showing and a sad ending to the Test series, I think.
It is a sad ending to the Test series in which the West Indies had their moments. In each Test, we felt like the matches were balanced at different periods, and then the Aussies were able to take it away from the West Indies. This is an incredible day of Test cricket we have witnessed. So just the West Indian innings here. Mitchell Starc, a wicket with the first ball. He removed John Campbell. They were 1 for none. Then Kevlon Anderson. He survived 4 deliveries before he was dismissed, or 3 deliveries, dismissed on the 4th ball. LBW, it was as plumb as it gets. He reviewed it. They were 2 for none. And then Brandon King was bowled first ball. Mitchell Starc was on a hat-trick. They were 3 for none after the first over. Starc's 399th Test wicket. Shortly thereafter, Mikhail Louis, he was out LBW for Starc's 400th Test wicket. He was the 4th Aussie to 400. Warne, McGrath, Lyon, and now Starc, as he writes his name into the record books. He had 4 for none at that point. So symmetry in that. His 400th Test wicket in his 100th Test, and he did it at 4 for none. Shy Hope came out He was the last hope for the West Indians. He was out for 2 LBW off the bowling of Mitchell Starc. They were 5 for 7 when that happened. Mitchell Starc had 5 for 2, and the 2 runs were an edge through the slips that didn't carry. Roston Chase went for a duck, an expansive, aggressive stroke. They were 6 for 11. They managed to scrap to 6 for 22 at the tea break, the short break. Graves went shortly after the break, and they were 7 for 26. That was the first dismissal of what eventually turned out to be a hat-trick, a Scotty Boland hat-trick, the first in Australian cricket since Peter Siddle on his birthday at the Gabba all of those years ago. If you want a hat-trick, bring in a Victorian. And then they cleaned up Jamel Warrikan, the final wicket of that hat-trick, and Jaden Seals, a 4-ball duck. So that West Indian card, unfortunately, 7 ducks, 4 of them first ball ducks, scores of 4 for Mikhail Louis, 2 to Shy Hope, 11 to Graves, and 4 not out to Alzari Joseph, who earlier on in the day took his second Test match 5 for 27 off 12 overs, as Australia lost 4 for 22 off 7.1 overs in 45 minutes. And it's not as if the pitch has been misbehaving. Carl Hooper, I can physically feel your dismay, and we've heard it this morning audibly as well. You are a frustrated man.
Well, yeah, look, I mean, just looking at the scorecard, you had 7 ducks. I mean, for God's sake, you know, in 14.3 overs, I've never seen a scorecard look 27. I mean, you know, I was born in 1966, and yes, I mentioned it was a BBL game that the Thunder got rolled for 15. I would understand that, but in a Test match cricket, in a first-class game, to be rolled over for 27, I think is unacceptable. I mean, you look at Starc's figures, 7.3 overs and 6 for 9. I mean, that's schoolboy cricket, you know. And then Boland, a hat trick. But look, credit to Australia. I think they've made all the right decisions. You know, and starting this Test match, leaving out Nathan Lyons and bringing in Scott Boland seems to be like a stroke of genius. You know, I think he picked up 3 in the first innings and then again 3 in the second innings. While West Indies, on the other hand, playing in home conditions, went the way of playing the extra spinner, which is crazy. I mean, how many overs he bowled? A handful of overs, you know, and he didn't bat. You know, a lot of supporters out there and pundits have been. Sorry, I'll come back to this.
Yeah,
after.
let's see if we can hear from Scott Boland.
Yeah, amazing feeling. But yeah, I think Starkey really set us up there, and never been involved in a game where we bowled a team out for 27.
Were you a little bit surprised of how quickly today unfolded from your batting and then to the end of the match?
Yes, definitely. Probably didn't expect 10 wickets to fall in the first session, but I think all the credit goes to the bowlers, West Indies as well, and then Starkey to start like that, 3 wickets in the first over, unbelievable.
Yeah, talk us through those 3 wickets and those hat-trick deliveries from the first to the second and then to the third.
What was the first one caught? I was just trying to concentrate and keep putting balls in good areas. I probably felt like I started a little bit slow from that end yesterday. So, happy to start off well and get a couple of wickets.
Yeah, wonderful to get that hat-trick, no doubt. It must be a special feeling. Tell us about another guy in your camp who celebrated 400 Test wickets today. How magnificent has he been, and what must that pleasurable feeling be to see that today?
Yeah, unreal. For him to get his 400th wicket in his 100th Test, pretty special. From our point of view, we see how hard he trains and how well he looks after his body all year round, and I know all credit goes to him for being able to achieve both those things.
Congratulations on your first ever hat-trick. Hopefully there are some more in the belt, and all the best for the rest.
Thank you very much.
There is Scott Boland. So the West Indies out for 27, the second lowest total in Test match cricket. Their lowest ever total, their previous lowest of 47. Corbin, Middlemas and Grandstandard Stumps is coming up next.
ABC Sports coverage of the West Indies versus Australia, live on ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Thanks, Ben. Great job throughout the test match. So it's all over here and an opportunity for us now to launch. It is grandstand at stumps, a historic final day of the test match, a 400th wicket for an individual, the fastest fifer in the history of the game, a hat-trick, the second lowest all-time team total and a nation's lowest. In Cricket West Indies, all out for 27. There is a fair bit to pick apart in 2.5 hours worth of cricket. Corbin Middlemas alongside West Indian great Carl Hooper, Adam Crosthwaite on grandstand at stumps. We've heard a bit from Carl towards the concluding stages. We'll get back to the West Indies side of it in just a moment, plus all the presentations on the way. But Adam Crosthwaite, give me your initial take on all of that. What have we seen here on day 3 of this test match in Jamaica?
Incredible fast bowling is what we've seen. The West Indies started it. They were great. They knocked the Aussies over, but Mitchell Starc, 3 in the first over, incredible. A hat-trick to Scotty Boland, another Victorian with a hat-trick, outstanding. 7 ducks and 4 first ball ducks. It's just a demolition, and as Carl was saying, the wicket, it's nothing to blame on the wicket. It's just outstanding bowling and some pretty bad batting.
There's so much to pick up on them, but the way that the day started was Australia resumed at 6 for 99 with Green there on 42 and Pat Cummins on 5. Well, Green was out the very first ball of the day. In the end, Shaman Joseph added 2 more wickets. Elzari Joseph got 2 more. Elzari finishing with a 5 for 27. His best ever figures in Test cricket. The Aussies all out for 121. It set a victory target of 204, and you thought at that stage the Windies had a pep in their step. They were right in the game. And as you touched on, Starc, a triple wicket maiden to start, including a wicket off the first ball. He was on a hat-trick at the end of the first over. An incredible start with the West Indies 3 for zip. His 4th wicket was the team's 4th wicket and was also his 400th. And by the time he got his 5 for, the Windies were 5 for 7. Starc had the figures of 5 for 2. And after just 15 balls, Mitch Starc had the fastest fifer in the history of the game. The Windies fell to 6 for 11. They were 6 for 22 by the lunch break. Looked like they were certain to avoid the lowest ever total in Test cricket, which was 26 set by a New Zealand team back in the mid-50s. Well, when they lost their 9th wicket and Scott Boland had collected a hat-trick, the first since Peter Siddle all those years ago on his birthday at the Gabba, at that stage, 9 for 26 was the score, and they were level with the West Indies lowly total, with the New Zealanders lowly total of 26 from back in the mid-50s. The last wicket was able to put on the 1 run that they needed to put themselves into 2nd position on that list. It is still the West Indies all-time lowest score. All out for 27. Appropriately, Mitch Starc closed the show, so finishes with the figures of 6 for 9 of 7.3 overs in his 100th Test match. Brings up his 400th wicket. If ever there was a moment for him, it was this. And the fastest fifer in the history of the game in the process as well. So what a banner Test match for Mitch Starc with milestones everywhere. Scott Boland, a hat-trick, 2 overs, 3 for 2. Incredible. So first since Peter Siddle from an Australian perspective, the 2nd of the calendar year to take a hat-trick. And Josh Hazlewood, 1 for 10. You posed a pretty salient point to me off-air Adam Crosthwaite moments ago where he said,
who gets the ball?
Who gets the ball? Does it go to the guy that has the hat-trick, or does it go to the guy that takes 6 for and obviously picks up his 400th wicket in his 100th Test match?
I think Scotty Boland's given it to Starkey. Starkey with 400 and 6 for 9. But yeah, maybe they'll carve it in half.
Innings all over in 14.3 overs, all out for 27. For our new audience that have just joined us, Carl, sum it up for us from a West Indies point of view. A tough morning, I'm sure, as a Caribbean great, but what do you make of all that as it comes to its conclusion? A 176-run win for the Aussies.
It's hard to put it into words, Corbs. Look, they started well. You know, they would have had a meeting last night and said, look, let's wrap this up, you know, and we reckon we can chase down something under 200. The target that was set was just over 200. And the good thing about it is that they got those wickets very quickly, which would have given them a good opportunity to bat in the natural daylight. I was talking with Adam off air, and I said, look, you know, they could actually try to get as close as possible to these before the light comes on. But to see them roll over they didn't even fire a shot. You know, at least do something. I mean, you didn't even see adjustments being made. You saw one after the other guys being hit on the pad or bowled, and they all walked out, took a one-eye stance, as we call it, where you basically, traditionally, you're side on with your left shoulder pointed towards the bowler, not even making the necessary adjustments to combat the ball swinging back in at pace. So that was disappointing. You want to know, well, what are they doing inside it? Aren't they talking about it? You've seen somebody being hit in the middle stump, kicking the ball, and then going down and having a chat with it on striker's end. I mean, this is basic schoolboy stuff. So look, it's been disappointing. I can't tell you how disappointed I am to see how meekly we folded, and it's got progressively worse. First innings and second innings in Barbados, and then Grenada, and then we can't wait to get this over. So I feel very disappointed. I pity the fast bowlers because they have really stood up during the series. Just look at Shamar this series. Look at Alzari last night running in, giving you a chance to get back into the game, and the batsmen just folding. Also, I think, people like Shea Hope has got to take some responsibility. He's an established international player, albeit not in Test cricket, but he's played some 20 or 30 odd Test matches. King has played well and fought really hard and got undone today by a good one. But I think these are players who have got to step up. And in number 3 and 4 position, takes a little bit more responsibility and allow the younger players, be it Kevin Anderson or whoever else, to ease in at number 5, ease in at number 6, especially when you're playing against good teams like Australia. That's the number 1 ranked team with a fantastic attack. It's not going to get any easier because I think our next test series against India, you've got Bumrah and Siraj and all of these boys, and it's not going to get any easier. So I hope that they step up. But I think Cricket West Indies needs to sit down. I really think a few heads should roll for this because they've made some decisions, and this is the result of those decisions. I was saying to Adam again, we've had a drawn series against Australia, 1-1. We went to Pakistan, drew 1-1 after losing the first test match. We played some good cricket, and they've made some wholesale changes. I mean, some massive changes that I think wasn't needed. And then when you get results like that, the best thing that you could do, reverse them. Install Kohli back as the red ball head coach. Let's get back Athanaze and blokes like Hodge back into the squad. If you think of Kevin Anderson as one for the future, give him some tours. There's loads of 18 tours, and you build him. But to make wholesale changes and then get results like this, I think, Cricket West Indies got a hold of their hand and be held accountable.
Thoughts of Carl Hooper with us on ABC Sport. 141, 143, and now 27. The second inning scores for the West Indies throughout the series, a 176-run win by the Australians. So you talk about the adjustments, and even Shai Hope walks out to bat. He's an experienced player, comes back into the Test arena, and he got out the same way, LBW. So you would rather, I guess, to sort of explain that to a cricket audience that, perhaps a newer cricket audience, for example, you would rather guys be bold in that scenario, wouldn't you? Get your pads out of the way, stand outside leg stump.
Of course. Yep. And this is where I think, again, I mentioned Andre Kohli. Andre Kohli played a lot of first-class cricket and has been in the system for a long time. You don't have to necessarily play a lot of cricket to be a good coach, but you've got to have an eye to know exactly what you're looking at and how you're going to relay the information to the player. It's disappointing to see blokes one after the other. Everybody knows with Starc what he does. He pitches it up at pace and swings it. So if you see it start going, you've got to make some adjustments. You've got Darren Sammy, who's probably renowned more for white ball cricket. You've got Ravi Rampal again, a handful of games. He's a fast bowling coach. And you've got Floyd Reefer. Who's there to say something to these batters? Who is there to say something to these batters? I would have preferred to see blokes making adjustments, but nicking off the slip or getting the off-stump hit. But you can't be getting hit on the pad and being bowled, and the bat has got no chance whatsoever to access the ball. You've got to make the adjustments.
What did you say, Crossy?
Yeah, I agree. Talking about the adjustments, that it's just the same mistake over and over again. And that also happened with the Australian batting, the same mistake. And it does come back to the planning, and the planning from the batters in this whole series from both sides of the coin. Both sides just it wasn't there, and that's the frustration. Carl, who can you get involved in West Indies cricket? Who needs to be involved in West Indies cricket to take it to the place that it needs to be?
Adam, our system is so weak that you look at somebody like Kevlon Anderson, and from the first time he walked out the bat, I said his bat is not coming down straight. That's obvious. You can see it. If the ball is going to swing or seam, his bat is not coming down straight, which is an issue as it is. Now, what I'm saying, if it's going to swing, you're going to try and catch up with that ball, but your bat is not straight. You're not going to catch up with it, right? So he is a walking wicket. In fact, I was sitting off here, and when he walked in to bat in the second innings, I said to Ben, I don't think he'll last long. So I wasn't surprised. I didn't expect him to kick a ball on the stump. But you can see he's out of his depth.
Yeah.
We need help. If your first-class system is not functioning and our system is not, then you got to tap into, you've got so many great players. You've got Lara, you've got Haynes, you've got Greenwich. I mean, even if, not because they're great players, but I mean, I've played with these players and I've talked about batting with these players. They understand it to a T. You got to get them involved. You've got to get them involved.
Is the reason that they're not involved because of the politics in West Indian cricket?
It's the politics. It is the politics. 100%. You've had Desmond Haynes on tour as the chairman of selectors. I mean, come on. Desmond Haynes he's got to get into the mud. He's got to get you've got a young opening batsman, Michael Louis, who doesn't know where his off stump is. Yeah. The best opening pairs that we've had that I've known is Gordon Greenwich and Desmond Haynes. You seriously tell me that you can sit and get involved with Michael Louis and have conversations?
I'll come back to that, Carl. Samuel Badger is at the presentation.
Versus Australia 2025. Cricket West Indies would like to thank the official sponsors who have made this series possible. CG United, Betcage Sports, Dasani, Quartz, Macron, Coca-Cola, Powerade, and Visit Jamaica. I'd firstly like to introduce the player of the match, and that's none other than the legendary Mitchell Starc for his 6 wickets for 9 runs. Starkey will collect his award from Dr. Donovan Bennett, the director at Cricket West Indies, president of the Jamaica Cricket Association. Starkey, I'll also ask you to collect your Player of the Series award as well from Dr. Bennett. Wonderful performance, 14 wickets in the series, 15 wickets rather in the series. Just thank you here for a quick shot, Starkey. Congratulations on that performance. Could you have scripted this any better? 100 test match, 400 wickets, 3 wickets in the first over, the fewest number of deliveries to get a 5-wicket haul, and the list just keeps continuing.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well for the week. So yeah, it's been a fantastic series. I think we've seen some difficult batting conditions throughout, but fantastic series for us. It's been a good few days, very enjoyable. So yeah, I go home with a smile on the face.
Yeah, we're used to you getting that ball to swing in considerably to the right-handed batters. We were expecting more of that perhaps in the final session at night, but it swung a lot in the daytime. What would you attribute to that today?
Yeah, it did. We obviously saw last night the conditions with a hard, newish pink ball under lights is pretty difficult. So we didn't think it'd happen as quickly today until the sun went down a bit. But whether it was the wind, it was pretty blustery today, a bit strong. But no, I think our bowling attack's been pretty on the money throughout the series, and today was another case of that.
Yeah, talking about that bowling attack, it's the first time that all 4 of you have played in the same 11. Scott Boland, the 10th Australian to get a hat-trick in Test match cricket. A word on him?
He's amazing, isn't he? He would have played so many more Test matches in another team. But every time he comes in, he's on the money, like we saw this week. A hat-trick. He's never far from the perfect length. As soon as he comes in, he's preparing all the time to play. And this week he got his opportunity and showed what a wonderful Test bowler he is.
Yeah, lots of plaudits for you guys. You guys have been doing this for quite a long time, and rightly so, all of those commendations. But I want you to speak a little bit about the West Indian fast bowlers. Young guys now finding their feet in international cricket, but they've competed toe-to-toe with the Australian legends. How good have they been?
Yeah, they have. I think they've really shown their class throughout the series on albeit difficult wickets for both teams. They've showed the ball with pace, with skill, with patience and consistency. And Shamar and Jaden up front throughout the 3 tests have been pretty consistent in taking wickets along the way. And we saw last night, Aziri, how damaging he can be when he's on the money, bowling fast, swinging the ball. We've seen that throughout his career as well. So last night they certainly showed their skills, and throughout the series they have. We had to be on the money as a bowling attack as well.
Congratulations once again. A couple trophies to add to, I'm sure, you're already full trophy cabinet. Well done. All the best as you go to further test matches.
Thank you. Cheers.
That's Mitchell Starc, player of the match, player of the series in this one here against the West Indies. I'll now ask Ruston Chase to come and join me here for a quick chat. Ruston, disappointment, I can see it in your face, around the crowd when you look at the fans. It's been dismal, the batting performance. We can't escape that. The lowest ever total to be dismissed from a West Indian perspective in Test match history. How do you, I suppose, reconcile that batting performance?
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, obviously, to be in a position like that where we think we could have won the game and then come out and have that poor batting display. But, I mean, it's something that's been reoccurring for the whole series, so that makes it even more disappointing.
Yeah, it's a new dispensation, new coach, new captain, some players coming back into the fold. Results obviously haven't gone the way that you would have wanted. How do you assess the series as a whole?
Yeah, well, I think it's quite easy to assess. The bowlers kept us in the series all series long, and the batting never really showed up. And I think that's just what we need to work on. We need to really take a deep look at ourselves as batters. And I mean, the next series from here is quite a while, so we have time on our side. So I think that's what we need to really do, really have a look at our batting displays for this series and see where we can improve and how we can put 300 run totals on the board.
Yeah, we'll come to the bowlers shortly. It's not going to get any easier for you. Away to India for those couple test matches in a few months' time. What then, as a concrete roadmap, can be put in place for an improved batting performance in that short time?
Well, firstly, obviously, India is going to be different conditions, probably more spinner friendly. So I think if we can have some batting camps around playing spin bowling and stuff like that, I think that will be ideal for us going into those conditions.
Well, let's end with some positives then. You mentioned the fast bowling group, 22 wickets for Shamar Joseph. Only one person has gotten more than him in a test match series of 3 or more in the West Indies. Jaden Seals, Alzari Joseph, career best today. Justin Graves, he's been chipping in. What would be your words to those guys who have fought consistently for your team?
I would obviously like to congratulate them. They've done well. They've done an outstanding job. I mean, every time I called on them, they were ready and willing to give that effort. They've been putting in the hard work even before in the camp. And we said we're going to expect big things from them from what they were doing in the camp. So I just want them to obviously bask in their success a little. Obviously, we didn't do great as a team, but as a bowling unit, I thought they did very well, but I don't want them to rest on their laurels and feel that they're turned the corner. Just want them to keep striving for greatness and continue looking for that great
Russell,
performances.
I want to thank you for your time. I know there'll be some soul searching and some introspection. I want to wish you and your team all the best as you continue on your journey.
Thanks.
Ruston Chase, the captain of the West Indies team, commiserations to them. It really has been a struggle for them, but it hasn't been a struggle for this man, Pat Cummins. 3 from 3, a perfect start in this World Test Championship cycle for you guys. Sum up firstly this match and the series for us.
I mean, this match was madness today. Just seemed to be played in fast forward. But no, great series. I think, you know, every test match there was some testing moments where it felt like, you know, it could have gone either way. But, you know, really proud of the group, how they managed to find their way through those. You know, pretty challenging for the batters, the whole series, but, yeah, good contest.
We'll talk a little bit about the batters shortly, but some special performances we saw today. Mitchell Starc, Centennial Test, 400 Test wickets. I asked you before to tell me about him. What else can we say about Starkey?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I think, you know, when you talk about 100 tests, you talk about, you know, resilience and, you know, skill, but fitness and all those things. But I think today showed the real Mitchell Starc, what he can bring to a team, which is out of nowhere, tear an opposition apart and win a game for you. He does it consistently in any format and, yeah, feel very lucky he's on our team.
Another one who did really well today, Scott Boland, hat-trick, only the 10th Australian to get a hat-trick. It's not often that he gets to play, given the battery of quality that you have. Him in the team along with the others, that hat-trick, tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, that was great. He's had a couple of moments where he just gets on a roll. And, yeah, no, today that was pretty three classic Scotty Boland wickets all right at the stumps, or not far away. And yeah, really happy for him. He's spent a lot of time kind of running the drinks in the past year or two when the other three guys are fit, but we know his quality when he does come in.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the batting now then. 71, your highest score in this three-match test series. Steve Smith with that score. And we've spoken a lot about that top order and the continued struggles. How much do you, I suppose, take into account the conditions and what they're doing and reflect on the batting performance?
I mean, first of all, you got to, understand it. It's really tough. I think this series is as tough as you're going to get. So it's, about trying to make contributions. Yeah, this game, a couple of 40s was, worth probably 80 or 90 in other games. That can be match winning, especially in this game where, you ride out those tough periods and maybe it opens up the game for you when it gets a little bit easier. But, you got to be realistic. A few guys probably didn't have the series they would have liked. You look at it, could you have found ways to score runs? If you had another crack at it. But as long as you learn from it, get better, that's the main thing.
Well, I want to congratulate you once again. I want to take that mic from you. I want to go and collect the trophy, the Frank Worrell Trophy from Dr. Donovan Bennett. Australia champions of this Test match series, completing a 3-0 series win. Pat Cummins collecting his trophy, and now he'll join his teammates who are positioned just behind the champions scoreboard. Congratulations to Australia. Congratulations to Pat Cummins.
And the Australians keep that trophy now for 30 years and counting. And they sweep the series as Mitch Starc is pushed out the front. He's going to hold the trophy with Pat Cummins. What a banner test match it's been for him. So not just his 100th test match, second paceman in Australian cricket history to get to 100 tests. He becomes just the second Australian paceman again after Glenn McGrath to reach 400 wickets, which he brought up in this innings. He also picks up a new gong, a new slice of history, the fastest fifer ever taken in just 15 balls. It was a historic test match, particularly it was a historic final day in which lasted just 2.5 hours, but the lowest score in West Indies cricket history doubles up as the second lowest score in the history of the game, all out 27. And it also included a hat-trick. How's that as just a footnote on the end? Ordinarily, Crossy would be saying, a hat-trick, that's the key highlight of the day and of many test matches in the entire series, and yet it's like, also Boland got a hat-trick.
Yeah.
That's just the 10th Australian, as you heard there, to get there.
It just put a stamp on it, didn't it? But it wasn't the main story, and that's what's incredible. 27 all out. And again, we dropped 2 catches. Constance dropped 2 catches in the slips and let the record slide between his legs as well with the misfield.
All that audio, of course, courtesy of ESPN. The presentation here. This is Grandstand Cricket on ABC Sport. The 4 fast bowlers, the 4-prong pace attack. Wasn't that a talking point at the start of the test match, the Nathan Lyon being left out? I'm not sure there would have been a moment for him to bowl anyway at any stage, with the Windies all out for 143 in the first innings and all out for 27 in the second. Not even Pat Cummins got a bowl in the second innings, so didn't bowl a single ball, and the West Indies were all out for 27. Corbin, Middlemas, Adam Crosthwaite and Carl Hooper. So as we look back on the test match here, the Aussies 225, West Indies 143, so an 82-run lead on the first innings. Australia all out 121, a victory target of 204 set. Inside 15 overs, the West Indies all out for 27. Starc 6 for 9, Boland a hat-trick. And obviously the Australians' next engagement in the Test cricket arena is the first test in Perth of the Ashes series. As Pat Cummins walks up the stairs to the pavilion, Sabina Park in Jamaica, just holds the trophy aloft. A few of his teammates stick around to sign some autographs, but the Aussies comprehensive winners, 176 runs is the final margin in the third test. So looking forward now, Crossy, it feels like the same questions from an Australian perspective are there that were ever present at the start of the series as to what the top 3 is going to look like come that first test in Perth during the Ashes.
Yeah, the first test is going to be a huge selection and it's wide open. So they'll go back to domestic cricket now and someone needs to bang the door down because the team's definitely not set. The questions that we wanted answered from a batting point of view in this series haven't been answered, albeit tough batting conditions. But there's some spots up for grabs over the next couple of months before the first test.
What do you think happens between now and then?
A bat-off, traditional bat-off. Again, we don't know the team before that Ashes series, so get back to state cricket and Shield cricket. There's a one-day series, so it's going to be interesting. My question is, if Inglis is the next batter in, does Inglis play the one-day series or does he go and play Shield cricket? I think that's potentially a question. Or can you pick him for the test match off the back of one-day runs against India? So some questions. Does Marnus go back and make a lot of runs? Does he come back in? Can Constas be selected or thought about selection? Or is that horse bolted and needs some time in Shield cricket?
It's going to be interesting. I mean, this selection group's had a number of goes at trying to pick the opener. They obviously had David Warner there with Marcus Harris when this group came together. They moved on Harris. They brought Khawaja in. Really, as he beat down the door. And then from that point on, it's been all different options, hasn't it? Obviously, Steve Smith went to the top. He was the first option. That didn't work. He decided to go back to the middle. McSweeney came in. That didn't work. Constance has come in. He's had an opportunity out at 50 runs across 6 completed innings. In this series, I forgot to mention Labuschagne, who, of course, opened the batting in the World Test Championship final. So you start to wonder, too, how many more opportunities does this version of the selection group get to be able to try and find another opener? And how many more times are they going to ignore a traditional opener who's got a body of work behind them as the guy to get the opportunity and come into the team? So they've done a great job in terms of results. There's no doubt about that. But this is an area that they seemingly have a blind spot for. As we've spoken about a lot on the Grandstand Cricket podcast, it is their knowledge gap in a way too, where you look at the construction of that panel, and with great respect to McDonald and Dodemaide and Bailey, they don't have a grinding opening batsman amongst them for all the things that they're good at, and it is the one thing that they've seemingly undervalued and overlooked. Yeah, they've continually wanted to just what they call is to keep picking the 6 best batters in the country, and that's fine, but you need specialists. Specialists are key, and specialists will be key in an Ashes series. There's such a big Ashes series to be able to get through the pace of Wood and Archer and the rest of that English lineup. So do they pick the 6 best batsmen, or do they pick? I think they pick the best opener. Pick a specialist. Yeah, pick the best opener you can, and who that best opener is will potentially come down to the 4 Shield games. Yeah, it's a fascinating watch, because you think if they go back to Shield cricket and they don't get a clear standout, which I think they were hoping for here in the West Indies. They were hoping that Constas was going to be the standout. Ultimately, he wasn't. What happens if it's McSweeney, for example? Well, that's it. McSweeney's 96 not out at the moment in the Australia A game against Sri Lanka. He could make a big double 100 and then go into the Shield season with that behind him. So trying to fling the spaghetti on the wall and see if it sticks, and hope that at some stage it does. But it'll be fascinating to see what happens. Latest episode of the Grandstand Cricket Podcast will be out later today. So Beansy from Broadford. So we'll get Ed Cowan's take on all of it. It's been a whole lot of fun. Carl Hooper, probably not so much fun today. I like seeing you a little happier and in tears of joy like we saw you in Brisbane, but really appreciate your time, and thanks for hanging out with us throughout this 3rd test.
Yeah, it's been fun. Shame about today. I was expecting much more from West Indies today, but look, not to be. What can you do? You go game. That's all you can do.
Correct. All the best to the West Indies over in India. We'll hear from Carl Hooper soon on ABC Sport. Don't worry about that, as we will you, Adam Crosthwaite. Thanks, Crossy. Thank you, Corby. Thanks to Ben Cameron for all his great work. Con Karamoots has been all over it the whole way through, our audio technician, bringing it all to you. We've had a joy doing it. Thanks very much for your company throughout. To Jules Hay back in the studio. A 176-run win for the Australians on what is a historic final day of the Test Series. Mitch Starc, the man of the match, the man of the series, 6 for 9. The Australians bowling out the West Indies for 27 runs. How about it?
ABC Sport.
The West Indies versus Australia on ABC Sport, your home of cricket.
Shaman Joseph, the first ball of the morning, he knocks Green over. Green let it go, and it cannons into his off stump. And Shaman Joseph gets rid of Cam Green, the first ball on day 3. Here he is on his way in to Mikhail Louis, who struck on the pad. Shout for leg before, finger goes up. And that is 400 for Mitchell Starc in his 100 Test match. Starc, what a weapon he is. Shy Hope on strike, awaits Starc, he's hit on the pad. Shout for leg before, that's out 2. Starc's got a 5-bar.
in his 100th test. He's into the 400s and counting in the test wicket column. As Boland gets an edge and Graves hits it straight to Webster at second slip. That's number 7. The West Indies 7 for 26. Boland to Summises, hit on the pad and Inducker around the wicket. Umpire shakes his head. The Aussies have 3 reviews remaining should they want to use them. And Shamar Joseph might be in strife here, ball 1. And they're going to tee it up. They're going to have a look. It's hitting. He's out.
Pitching outside off, impact in line, wickets is hitting. Adrian, I'm going to get you to change your decision to out. The on-screen signal now.
It's a 5th duck in the innings. 8 for 26. Boland is on a hat-trick. 8 for 26. Morikawa waits. He knocks him over. Boland's got a hat-trick. The West Indies are 9 for 26. And Scott Boland's got a hat-trick in Jamaica. 3 slips in a gully. Starc angling in. Alzari Joseph a thick edge and a misfield there in the gully. And that will see the West Indies go past the lowest ever total in Test match cricket. Starc bowling to Jaden Seals. Left up, bowled in. And that seals the deal for the Aussies. A clean sweep of the Frank Worrell Trophy. And Mitchell Starc returns the favour with a send-off to Jaden Seals. It is the 2nd lowest ever total in Test match cricket. Calypso, collapso. The West Indies bowled out for 27. And Australia win by 176 runs. The 3rd test at Sabina Park from Kingston, Jamaica.
ABC sports coverage of the West Indies versus Australia. Live on ABC Sport Digital and the ABC...
ABC News. Good morning, I'm Simon Lauder. Anthony Albanese will hold meetings with both China's President Xi Jinping and its Premier Li Qiang in Beijing today. Foreign Affairs reporter Stephen Jedgetts is travelling with the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister will meet Xi Jinping on Tuesday morning before holding more formal talks with China's Premier Li Qiang in the afternoon. Anthony Albanese says he'll use the meetings to continue expanding economic links with Australia's largest trading partner, but has also vowed not to shy away from contentious issues like China's military build-up, its foreign interference campaigns and human rights abuses. He's also signalled he won't back down if China presses him to abandon his election promise to force the Chinese company Landbridge to give up the strategically sensitive port of Darwin.
Ukraine's president says he's grateful to Donald Trump for his support. The US president has announced Washington will send top-of-the-line weapons to Ukraine via NATO countries, with Europeans footing the bill. He's also threatened Russia with severe tariffs if a deal to end the war is not reached within 50 days. Volodymyr Zelensky says peace is only possible through strength.
I am grateful to President Trump for his readiness to help protect our people's lives. This war continues solely because of Russia, solely because of Putin's desire to prolong it, to drag it out. Russia is trying to make the war seem like the new normal.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's coalition is facing a threat from within as ultra-Orthodox parties threaten to quit the government. Here's Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran.
The war in Gaza, along with a number of other fronts in recent years, has placed considerable strain on the Israel Defence Forces. And last year, a ruling by the country's Supreme Court found that sweeping exemptions from national service for ultra-Orthodox Israelis shouldn't continue. Legislation to restore those exemptions has been drafted but not voted on. And Israeli media is now reporting that ultra-Orthodox parties, which the Netanyahu government relies on, are threatening to quit if the legislation isn't brought to Parliament this week. If they follow through on the threat, the government could fall.
A man has died after authorities tried to sedate him in Sydney's inner south. Emergency crews were called to an apartment block at Waterloo for a welfare check in the early hours of this morning. Paramedics attempted to sedate a 45-year-old man with the help of police and he became unconscious. He He was taken to hospital where he died. The New South Wales Homicide Squad is now leading investigations into the death. A new study has found 1 in 3 young Australians has experienced workplace exploitation. Adelaide Miller reports.
The study from Melbourne Law School has found Australians under the age of 30 are being ripped off by their employers, with many who are underpaid, denied breaks or compulsory super. The research also found that young workers are less likely to report this behaviour, with only a third who had gone to unions or agencies, such as the Fair Work Ombudsman, for help. The lead professor of the report, John Howe, says young workers are being targeted because they are less likely to speak up.
They're worried about complaining about their job for fear of losing it.
He also says in some cases they may not be aware of their rights.
Victoria's conservation regulator is investigating the deaths of a large number of corellas in Melbourne's southeast on the weekend. Wildlife rescue groups say more than 200 birds, including corellas and sulphur-crested cockatoos, died near the Springvale South Shopping Centre. The native birds are a protected species under the Wildlife Act. Wildlife Victoria CEO Lisa Palmer says they may have been deliberately poisoned.
We don't know what has happened here. We did have reports from members of the public that someone was seen leaving bird seed out in the area, and we understand that the department has collected some of that bird seed as well for testing.
In sport, Australia has completed a clean sweep of the 3-test series against the West Indies after rolling the hosts for the second lowest total in Test cricket history in Jamaica. After setting the West Indies 204 for victory in the third match of the series, Mitchell Starc completed the fastest 5-wicket haul in history of just 15 balls in his 100th Test to bring up 400 Test wickets. Starc is just the 4th Australian to reach the milestone.
Here he is on his way in to McCall Louis, who struck on the pad. Shout for leg before, finger goes up. And that is 400 for Mitchell Starc in his 100 Test match. What a weapon he is.
You're up to date with ABC News.